Hello, folks. Welcome to Profiles and Eccentricity. It's a show about weirdos. Doggone it. My name is John Boy. I'm your host, John Francis Fahey. Joining me as ever is Harrison Fart.
Oh, what?
Oh.
Aaron Joseph Pita.
That's pretty good. Nazis.
It's terrible.
I hate those guys.
Yeah.
These
How you doing, buddy?
Hanging in there. How are you?
Very good.
What about this guy over here?
Who is that? Cape God?
Hello.
Tommy Lee Bones.
And he does.
It's good.
Does.
And he does. That's handsome Matt Brousseau.
Hello.
Hello, friend.
Hello.
Tonight is election night. We will not be discussing it. We're here to talk about Bill Veeck.
Yeah.
But you can join us on the Patreon. Still $5 a month, and we're going to handle it over there.
If it still exists.
If it's still going on, yeah. If it's still legal to speak. But we want to get back into Bill Veeck. I'm enjoying the saga of this man. I was thinking about him, and I was thinking about like what we were saying about kind of the Barnum nature of him, and the way he was just trying to enhance spectatorship of a sport, right? And then you're also like going like, oh, well, you know, he's very forward about integration in baseball and stuff like that. And you go like, well, isn't that the same thing? You know what I mean? Like if you're trying to make it a more interesting spectator sport, to have segregation is like the thing where you go like, everybody's wondering what would happen. Like,
You know what would be interesting?
yeah, is if we had everybody play that could play the game and just make it better. So it to me, it's I know it's a brave stance for the time, but it also I think it goes with his general vibe of just making spectators have a better game.
Yeah. I mean, I think it seems like something that is, in retrospect, is pretty obvious.
Yeah,
But at the time,
revolutionary.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you had to compete with the circus.
yeah, right.
Yeah,
Okay.
peanuts at the circus.
And then you got to get him at the game.
Yeah,
You got to get some fucking nuts.
get some fucking nuts, man.
Well, let me take you back, boys.
Take us back.
Now, for me, so this next thing I'm going to tell you, for me, it's one of the most memorable moments in baseball history, especially as a kid. I remember, according to my memory, it was in this loose binder of baseball history and sports history that showed up when I subscribed to a Scholastic Corporation.
Yes, they made all those fun books for youngsters.
But they had these big binders of wild moments in sports history, like Bob Beeman's Olympic jump, where he went to the moon basically with a long jump. He just destroyed the long jump record by like a couple feet almost. Wow. I think it was Mexico City. And in retrospect, I don't know if it actually was there. It's probably in some, random book of wild things in baseball history, because I don't think Major League Baseball ever wanted to promote this sort of thing. August 19th, 1951, in front of 18,000 people in St. Louis, a 3'7" man walked to the plate to be the home team's leadoff batter.
I've heard about this.
He carried a toy bat. As batter, he crouched as low as he could to the point where his strike zone was about 2 inches high. The opposing team's catcher sat in the ground, but the ump said that was against the rules, so the catcher just sat in his knees. The pitcher walked the batter on 4 pitches, and the batter, Eddie Goodell, skipped to first base.
Aw.
He was subbed off for a pinch runner and got a standing ovation from the crowd.
Hell yeah.
Talk about Barnum-esque. He found his own Tom Thumb.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The scene was over, but people never forgot it. Baseball people never forgot it. Regular people never forgot it. Many baseball people said it was an abomination of the sport. The man, Eddie Goodell, said he felt like Babe Ruth. The home team, the St. Louis Browns, still lost the game.
Damn.
But in general baseball history, maybe it's the most memorable thing Bill Veeck ever did. But as we know now, there's much more to him than just a fun little moment. Now, when we left off, it was 1948, and Veeck's Cleveland Indians had won the World Series. They drew 2,620,000 fans, a record that would stand for 14 years.
God damn.
And would still be the highest until 1977, when the Los Angeles Dodgers regularly had 3 million a year. Wow. Cleveland has not won a World Series since 1948.
Wow.
What about when they had that Wild Thing pitcher guy?
Yeah, no. Sorry, Aaron.
Wasn't
Just a movie.
Hollywood.
Wasn't a documentary about the?
Sorry, man.
Willie Mays Hayes?
Nope. Now, the 48 Cleveland team also had a couple secrets. First, they had a creative groundskeeping crew that made the infield grass higher for their older, slower infield. Veeck would later say, a good groundskeeper can be as valuable as a 300 hitter. He ordered a brand new tarp for the groundskeepers. They could pull out when it was raining and put it down in 2 minutes if they were losing, or 30 minutes if they were winning.
Wow.
Because if the game gets rained out after the 5th inning, the winning team gets the win.
Yeah, there's nothing in the rules.
Yep.
Yeah, no. I mean, shit, they could put fucking landmines out there.
Put a fucking chimp to clean up.
The groundskeepers also put sand in the baselines to make the other teams as slow as Cleveland was. Now, this wasn't necessarily a big deal. It's home advantage and all that. Every groundskeeping crew has, little tricks of the trade. The bigger scandal was that the team was stealing pitching signs. Pitcher Bob Feller, Hall of Famer, had taken a telescope he used as a gunnery officer on the USS Alabama to read approaching aircraft. It's about 2.5 feet long and usually operated in the scoreboard by either Feller, a Hall of Famer, or Bob Lemon, another pitcher, Hall of Famer. They could see how many fingers the catcher was holding up, putting down to call a pitch. They would relay that to the groundskeepers, who would use another opening in the scoreboard to signal to the batter.
You gotta be kidding me.
Cleveland claimed they got the idea after they found the Boston and Detroit teams doing something similar to them.
Ah.
Now, every baseball team cheats. It's just, how do you do it?
Are you cheating within the rules?
Yes.
Right. Is there a rule yet
Yeah, is there a
on
rule
how
yet?
you were cheating? Right.
And,
which continues to this day.
Yes. And, it's some of the, at least one batter on Cleveland said he found it distracting and he didn't appreciate it and didn't pay attention. Veeck definitely knew about it and was okay with it. But,
just don't bang it on any trash cans.
yes, exactly. A side story, in the 48 season, the team called up a catcher they had sent down to the minor league team in Oklahoma, and they had called him up multiple times that season, a real annoying journey to drive from Oklahoma. So one morning, after being called up to Chicago, the catcher and his wife were woken up by an 8 a.m. phone call from Veeck. He asked them to meet him in his office. And the story went something like this, where he goes, guys, I know it's been a real pain in the ass to keep going back and forth, so for your next trip, take these car keys. I'm giving you a Buick.
Oh, wow.
And he said, but I won't tell you where it is.
Oh, come on.
No, that's fun. That's fun.
The scavenger hunt?
Yeah.
And but the catcher remembered one time where he was with Veeck, and Veeck got a car from this Buick showroom in town, and he went to the showroom, and he said, the car that was spinning in the middle of the showroom, he said, could I take a look at that? And he put his keys in, and it worked.
No fucking way.
Yeah.
Well,
So he sped off the fucking the Lazy Susan?
Yep.
you went right into the general manager's office. He had to time it just right to get out onto the street. He missed.
God. Mine was in a scrapyard. They could have a part. Key worked.
It fit.
It is a Buick. Half.
It's new to you.
In the offseason, Veeck was he was a star in the papers, and he needed to sign pitcher Bob Feller to a new contract. And in the winter of '49, early in the next year, he was offered a reception in his honor by professional hostess and society columnist Elsa Maxwell. Maxwell she invented the use of treasure hunts as party games. She was hired by Monaco to make it a tourist destination.
What?
And bring the stars Cole Porter, Tallulah Bankhead, Noel Coward, and more to Venice. The Waldorf Astoria in New York City gave her a free room, hoping it would bring in rich clients. She's responsible for the success of ventriloquist Edgar Bergman.
You don't say. That
And
old
much
scamp.
more. Yeah.
Ah.
That dummy?
Yeah.
But she decided to host a dinner in Veeck's honor at Le Pavilion, the finest French restaurant in the United States in New York. As the guest of honor, Veeck was the only person not forced to wear a tie. He would forever hate wearing ties. He tried to never wear a tie. If a restaurant wouldn't let him in without a tie, he would leave. But they let him in.
Good for him.
Yeah.
He was also allowed to invite some guests, and he chose some of his baseball players and baseball friends, one of which was Bob Feller. And Veeck decided they should finalize the contract at the restaurant. Also attending were the heads of Cartier, John Ringling North, and Salvador Dali. When the press heard that Veeck was going to be signing Feller, they rushed to the restaurant but I think they only let in like Look magazine or like one famous group. When Veeck met Dali, Dali said, I know nothing about baseball, absolutely nothing. And Veeck replied, well, that makes us even. Another anecdote. By the time Dali had talked to Lou Boudreau, he instead said, I understand we have much in common. There is surrealism in baseball, too. Men wearing strange clothes, crouching in moonlight, and reaching for objects frequently unattainable.
Yeah.
Very, very good. I was waiting to hear what Dali's take on baseball would be.
Right, yeah.
Small dwarf men skipping to the first base.
The pitcher's hand melting as it crosses the mound.
Veeck and Feller did sign a contract that night. However, the signing was first interrupted by a call from Veeck's lawyer. His wife, Eleanor, was filing for divorce and custody of their 3 children.
Yikes.
But Veeck dealt with that, and I think a friend of his there said, I see you're bad at contracts, too.
Wow.
And life went on for him, and he signed the contract. And that summer or that winter, he went on and gave a speech at the Urban League of Chicago about race in his ball club called America, Teamwork Works. His portrait was photographed for Harper's Bazaar and appeared in a spread called Men to Remember, alongside Jean Renoir, and George Orwell.
Yeah, okay.
George Orwell?
Mm-hmm.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, he did full nude.
Yeah.
He did that whole Burt Reynolds pose.
Yeah.
But it was covered in rats.
Just the way I like it, Daddy. Furry.
Now, by this time, Veeck had joined the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People, NAACP.
White guy?
Yep, after arriving in Cleveland.
Oh, that's so cool.
He appeared on recruiting posters for the organization with Satchel Paige and Larry Doby, and Veeck integrated every level of his baseball organization in Cleveland, from the special police, the ushers, the food vendors, the scorecard sellers, the grounds crew, and the front office personnel.
The telescope operators behind the scoreboard.
Yeah. And an article about him appeared in the Sporting News, reading this. Said 14 Negro players given Tribe Corner on colored talent.
I'm sorry. 14 Negro players give Tribe Corner.
Like they corner.
They corner the market on talent. Got it.
And underneath there's underneath the word emancipators is a picture of Abraham Lincoln
And Bill Veeck.
and it said Abraham Lincoln freed the Negroes. Bill Veeck gave him baseball jobs.
Gave him.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
I mean, the resemblance is uncanny.
Yeah.
It is. Yeah, it was a real partnership. I tell you, man. Well, we use these Maroshma guys any way we can.
Yeah. Now, the Cleveland's next season did not fare as well, despite one fan sitting on a flagpole for 113 days
Hey!
for good luck.
Flagpole sitting. 13 days? Not a good number.
113 days.
Oh, okay. Different. What?
Yeah, for good luck. And as Veeck felt the season was getting out of running away from him, so what he did, he staged a burial of the pennant they won the year before. Before a game, they dug a grave and they put it in a coffin and buried it in front of the fans.
They did some earth magic.
What was that about?
It was about forgetting about the past and
Doesn't matter what we did before.
yeah.
It's what we do tomorrow. Fuck this pennant.
Down here, it's Indian time.
Yeah.
But Cleveland ended the season in 3rd place, and the guy on the flagpole, when the Cleveland was eliminated from the playoffs, from the World Series, the guy on the flagpole was brought in, still sitting on the pole, brought in with on some sort of truck, and ceremoniously got off the pole in the stadium in front of all the fans.
Slipped, broke his neck, and died.
Yeah. They said he was wobbly, and Veeck brought a doctor there to treat him. But it was a sad ceremony nonetheless.
Jesus Christ. Used to be all guys working the pole.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Veeck's friend, Hall of Famer Hank Greenberg, said he saw the difference in Veeck that season. He says, seems his intimate divorce has got him down. He lost enthusiasm for the game. He didn't show up at the ballpark as often or put in as many hours. While he did a good job, he didn't have the same attitude he had in the 48th season.
Yeah, I mean, that'll fucking do it, man. Losing your family? Jesus.
Yes. And but in October of 1949, Veeck met Mary Frances Ackerman, 28-year-old press agent for the Ice Capades and drama student.
Ooh.
And here is a picture of her.
Say.
Oh, she's a looker.
Wow. Even by today's standards.
Yep. Yes.
Whatever happened to the Ice Capades?
I think they're
They
still
do.
around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know what they are,
It's dancing.
but they do them.
It's dancing.
Yeah.
Capades.
Yeah, I mean, if you're at an Olympic level or didn't make the Olympic team, you can do some twists and jumps on the ice capades for money.
Right. Is it like the Globetrotters for Olympian?
Kind of, I guess. There's no games.
There's no Washington senators or whatever they
Yeah, right.
whoever they have to play against generals.
Yeah, the Generals, yeah.
What had the Jeffersons on ice? What was that?
I don't know. Was that like fucking Family Guy or
Yeah, it
something?
sounds like a Family
No,
Guy thing.
dude, it was a live action thing, wasn't it? I don't know, man.
Mary Frances, after 2 weeks of daily dating, Veeck asked her to marry him, and Mary Frances agreed, provided he take 6 weeks of instruction in the Catholic Church, become a Roman Catholic, and they stay apart from each other for 6 months following his divorce.
Get circumcised.
Yeah. Now, Veeck also needed money to put into a trust for the children of his first marriage, so he announced his intention to sell the Cleveland Indians. His first rule was that black workers that he had hired were not allowed to be fired. And in November 1949, he sold the team for $2.2 million, about $29 million today, which is what baseball teams are not worth these days. The price of the baseball team has gone up considerably.
I would say so.
Yeah.
Quite a bit.
Upwards of tens of dollars.
Yeah, one player is worth $200 million. In Veeck's absence, however, the American League did not sign any more black players. In 1950, the only black players in the American League were on Cleveland. The National League would instead sign some of the greatest black players of the era, like Willie Mays, Roy Campanella, Ernie Banks, Hank Aaron, Frank Robinson, Bob Gibson, and Willie McCovey.
Hell yeah.
To wait for Mary Frances, Veeck moved back to his ranch in Tucson, where his ex-wife had moved out with the kids. She had taken everything, even the light bulbs.
So he was jerking in the dark under the beautiful night sky in Tucson.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the stars alone will illuminate the desert. You know?
Yeah.
It's beautiful out there.
Yep. The Jorkin of the Peanuts.
Huh?
Yeah. Peanuts. Baseball.
Now, to wait for Mary Frances, Veeck moved there. He installed a tennis court and became a fanatical tennis player. About playing with his fake leg, he said, "Does a man stop smiling because he wears false teeth?"
No. If he's smart.
Yeah. That'll be the day I stop. Or at least just close my mouth.
Now, when the 6 months were up, Mary Frances showed up, and she found an Olympic-sized swimming pool Veeck had installed because she said she liked swimming.
Cool.
Veeck would also take up swimming for the rest of his life, calling it the greatest sport of all.
Okay.
I mean, for a three-legged man to say that, it's a...
Three-legged man?
Sorry, three-limbed man.
Well, the wood is buoyant. He has an unfair
Well,
advantage.
you take the leg off to swim.
No.
I thought you were talking about his dick.
Yeah, well, now I am.
He can tell you stand over the pool, tell you how cold the water is and how deep.
Deep, too.
There's a fucking coctopus down there.
What's that thing? Is that one of those things cleaning up the side of the pool? No. It's cock. You know those things that roam the pool?
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
Disgusting.
For the rest of his life, Mary Frances was always in it, taking care of his personal shopping, running much of his life. She would join all of his, she'd be a big part of his baseball operation in welcoming people to the team and families, and very much like his other family was not. His first family was not.
Well, he upgraded.
Yeah. Veeck called her appearance the most important moment of my life. And Bob Feller said she was the best thing that happened to him.
Oh.
Man, you have kids and you say, meet my second wife.
Yeah.
It's the
Yeah.
most important thing in my life.
Well, you know, some things, sometimes the family fits. And
How old is he at this point?
So I was 49,
All right.
so I think he's
I'll
about.
reserve judgment until I'm 50.
I want
Yeah.
to say he's about 40 years old now.
Oh.
Yeah.
So I'm right there.
Yeah, he's still not old.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, back then that was midlife hardcore. Come on.
That was
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Twilight.
Oh, God. Yeah. He in 49 he performed in a play in Chicago. He was in a movie, and in March 51, Mary Frances gave birth to their first child, Michael. And in 51, with his usual backers, Veeck bought enough shares of the St. Louis Browns baseball team to take ownership of that team.
Okay.
St. Louis at the time, there was the Cardinals and the Browns. And the Browns were the shittiest team in baseball.
Browns.
Yeah, I know.
One writer said he didn't know they could be bought because he assumed no one owned them.
They were volunteers.
Yeah.
Somebody owns it?
Yeah.
Why?
That piece of shit.
Yeah.
It's like the car you see on blocks on your corner.
You could transfer the lease on that thing?
Dirty Mike and the boys.
In the 40s, the team drew as many fans as the Cleveland drew in a season.
In all of the 40s.
Yeah, that's how bad they were.
Wow.
One of his first moves was during a doubleheader when he personally announced that drinks were on the house. For the Veeck did for all of the fans.
Now, was that like a play on words? Like the drinks were on a house out in the parking lot that he built?
Go find him.
Yeah. What house? I'll never tell.
No, it was just that they didn't have to pay for booze that day. Between the two games of the doubleheader, there was also a band playing, and after the second game, there was a fireworks show. He then signed Satchel Paige.
Oh, shit.
As people suspected, and Veeck would later write in his autobiography, his first one, his main goal of buying the Browns was to drive the St. Louis Cardinals baseball team out of town and give his team full supremacy. And so he kind of went on a campaign of attacking the owner of the St. Louis Cardinals. He tried to he tried to say, let's have a charity game. I'll put down $10,000, and the other guy didn't bite. And so Veeck lambasted him in the paper. He just tried to turn the city against the other owner so he could have full control of St. Louis.
I mean, it's a strategy.
Years later, that guy would be indicted for tax fraud.
Ah.
Yeah.
Fuck him.
We'll get to that in a little bit. So he also moved his family into the ballpark. I think it was called Sportsman's Park in St. Louis. Mary Frances took lead of their 10-room apartment inside of the ballpark.
Holy shit. That sounds pretty cool.
Yeah, they rebuilt it, and she also redesigned the business offices, as well as she wrote a poem for one of his promotions where he sent a contract to every male baby born in St. Louis in 1952, jokingly offering them a contract for 1970 when they turned 18. That year, he also started doing a call-in radio show where fans could call him and talk about the game or the team.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's so fucking cool, man. God.
His next big promotion was the Eddie Goodell game. The Browns could not get their leadoff hitter on base regularly, so Veeck had an idea, and they hired Eddie Goodell through a Cleveland theatrical booking agent. After looking at a bunch of different guys, Goodell was 3'7" and 60 pounds. Veeck had him sign 2 contracts, each guaranteeing the same contract, which guaranteed him $100 for one plate appearance. Now there are 2 contracts because this had to be a completely secret operation. Veeck mailed one. The game was on the Sunday. Veeck mailed the contract to the league office in the last collection on Friday, knowing they wouldn't get it until Monday, and so the league couldn't cancel the contract.
Right.
The night before the game, Veeck went out drinking with a reporter of the St. Louis Dispatch, and then after the final edition of the paper went out, he told the reporter of his plan to have Goodell at the game and make sure you get photographers there.
Yeah.
There was supposed to be a celebration there that marked the 50th anniversary of the American League that day. Plus, it was a doubleheader. The St. Louis Browns, and Veeck decided he would make it a celebration 50 years of operation by radio sponsor Falstaff Brewing Company. This is certainly not true. No one knew even when Falstaff Brewing Company had started sponsoring the team. 18,000 fans showed up, the largest crowd in over 4 years. After the first game, a loss, there was a parade of 50-year-old automobiles. Comic performance by Max Patkin, the coach that was falling over, and there was a giant papier-mâché birthday cake.
Tastes like shit.
It was opened by a man playing Sir John Falstaff, and out popped Eddie Goodell wearing the Bat Boys miniature uniform, reading 1/8 on the back. And he's wearing curled-up elf shoes and presented to the Browns manager as a new brownie.
Oh, my God.
No. He went to the plate wearing curled-up elf shoes?
No, he didn't when he go to the plate, but that was, he popped out of the cake and was presented to the manager as the new brownie.
Oh, my God.
So, the second game started. In the bottom of the first inning, as the Browns' leadoff hitter was announced, There was a substitution. For the Browns, number 1/8, Eddie Goodell batting for Saucier. Then the Browns brought out the signed contract, and the ump called play ball. Holding a toy bat, Goodell walked up to the plate and got into his stance. The catcher got onto his knees eventually. Goodell walked on 4 pitches, skipped to first base, was substituted. The opposing pitcher said his teammate Dizzy Trout said that if he had been pitching, it would have plunked Goodell right between the eyes.
I was going to say, what if the guy fucking beamed him? He's dead.
Yeah. I mean, it would have been hard to bean, too. He's a tiny little
small
guy.
target either way, I suppose.
Yeah. I'd like to show you a picture. All these pictures will be
Yeah, I was gonna say
on the
he's,
Patreon.
He's probably got one of those very strong dwarf heads, though.
No, I don't know, man. I bet he's not a dwarf. I bet he's just a tiny guy.
Yeah, he's just a tiny
He looks like a Tom Thumb Hospital guy.
Oh yeah, Hezbollah. Wow, yeah, he looks like a child.
The Browns lost that game, too.
Horrible form.
I like it.
The Browns pitcher that day said he pitched the worst game of his life, and that might have had to do with the fact that between games, with all these circus stuff going around, there was a chimpanzee that sat in his lap before the game that he had to deal with.
I told you to be a chimp.
I don't know why that would make you pitch the worst game of your life.
It was just he just couldn't focus on baseball. There was just too much going on.
Chimps, tiny guys. Blacks on the other team.
Yeah. Salvador licking his lips in the stands.
Twirling his mustache.
Yeah.
Ooh, baseball. It was a windfall for Goodell. He appeared on radio shows. He made $17,000 appearing on TV shows.
Hey.
After that. And Veeck would later say he got the idea while listening to his dad and Hall of Famer John McGraw talk baseball after dinner. McGraw had a lucky dwarf on his club. And Veeck said, by the time McGraw got to the stub of his last cigar, he'd always swear to my father that one day before he retired, he'd send his gnome up to bat.
His gnome.
Just a little drunk talk between baseball guys, you know?
Yeah.
Say.
Why not? If you're the worst team in baseball, why not, dude?
Yeah.
Just go nuts.
Yeah, exactly. And decades later, Veeck would say, were it in my power to turn back the clock, I'd never send a midget to bat. No, I'd use 9 of the little fellows, including a designated hitter. He then guessed his tombstone would say, he sent a midget up to bat, but he hoped it would read, he helped the little man.
God.
Major League Baseball was not amused by this. They immediately banned little people from playing the game.
Oh my God! You break one barrier and you put another one up.
I know.
And they voided Goodell's contract. And Veeck immediately demanded a ruling on whether the 5'6" Yankees shortstop and MVP Phil Rizzuto was short or a tall midget.
Oh my God! Hall of Famer Phil Rizzuto.
He also protested the Boston Red Sox Walt Dropo as too tall at 6'5".
Yeah.
And said if they felt Goodell was unfair competition, well, he felt Ted Williams was also unfair competition.
Oh.
I mean, hey, some people are born with different talents.
Yeah.
Ted Williams would later write that he thought the promotion worked. It got people interested in the game.
Without a doubt.
Yeah.
Because that's the thing where, like, columnists in every city have to comment on it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's
Free press.
Yeah, and, fucking... Shit, maybe it works out for, like, merchandise or something. I don't know.
Oh, tiny little bobbleheads.
Yes.
Life-size Funko Pops.
Mm-hmm.
So this is actually to scale.
To scale.
Yeah. And Mary Frances would later say in 2009 that everywhere she went, people would come up to her and tell her that they were there when Goodell stepped up to play at Comiskey Park.
In 2009?
Yeah.
Everywhere she went? It's mathematically impossible.
Well, also, they wasn't at Comiskey. So it was just a memory burn in people's brains where they all thought
like
they were
when
there.
Sinbad was in that movie as a genie. And
Yeah. Oh, Kazam or whatever?
Well, it was Shaq, but the Mandela effect is that...
Yeah, everybody's racist.
Mm-hmm.
For his next promotion, Veeck let the fans manage the game. It was something he had promised 2 weeks earlier. The Browns manager took the field in street clothes and slippers, smoking a pipe, and he sat in a rocking chair near the dugout reading a newspaper. 2 fans who won a contest were the managers in the stands. They were supposed to be on the field managers, but Major League Baseball threw a fit about that. And the 2 manager fans would direct the 115 1,115 fans who signed up, including Hall of Famer Connie Mack, who were given placards with one side reading yes and the other side reading no.
Oh my God.
They were tasked with picking the starting lineup. They actually replaced the manager's selected catcher, and they voted on bunt attempts and steal attempts and substitutions. The Browns won the game 3-2.
Holy crap.
Hell yeah. Damn.
And Bill James, the rewriter, the noted baseball statistician, who's written multiple books, in his guide to the Bill James Guide to Baseball Managers, he noted on page 170, what strikes me about this is that the fans were obviously smarter than Taylor, the manager, was, at least in this respect. The Browns had required their catcher 3 years earlier for nothing. He played about half the time. He's one of the better hitters on the team. After the season, the Browns traded him to Chicago, where he was made the regular catcher and became the second best catcher in the American League. Fuck. Sometimes the fans know, I suppose.
Sometimes, yeah.
I should say, again, my main source is Bill Veeck, Baseball's Greatest Maverick by Paul Dixon.
Let me ask you something. In terms of the gimmickry exhibited here by Mr. Bill Veeck, subject of the profile. So he's he's in the lower tier of the Major League Baseball and stuff like that.
And in this one, I mean, he did win the World Series with Cleveland.
Yes. But do you think there's a thing where, like, there's just old baseball is like, oh, if this guy does it, we're going to shit on it faster than if somebody else tried some of these stunts?
Oh, yeah, and you'll see. You'll see multiple times through the rest of Veeck's career. Major League Baseball owners were aggressively against him.
Yeah, and is that also residual because of his integration?
Oh, yes, and that'll come up again, too.
Yeah.
He's making a mockery of the game. He's putting midgets out there.
Yeah.
He's putting people in Santa suits on rocking chairs.
Even put a
Plus
black guy.
the blacks.
Exactly.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly, yeah.
Yeah. Veeck later gave one of the fan managers a trophy, and they became friends and would often discuss the team together.
God, it must have been cool to be that fan.
Yeah.
This guy talks to the fans. He did a fucking, like, a radio show, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
God, it'd be so cool to make friends with somebody like that, you know?
He was friends with everybody. He talked to everybody in the stands. He was like the most open guy in the world.
Yeah.
He talked to everybody.
Really was. His fans could call his number
Yeah.
and would.
Bill, you up?
New landline, who dis?
Veeck's antics hit the newspapers hard. Whether it made good baseball was debatable, but without it, there's no question that people got excited about baseball.
Mm-hmm.
Barnum
effect.
And it's like, does that make baseball great? The excitement? Well, the Browns did finish in last place, 46 games out of first place. Veeck responded to this by hiring Rogers Hornsby, man who is very racist, even previously stating he didn't think any black player could make a major league team. Veeck had thought he had changed. He really hadn't. Hornsby wanted to trade Satchel Paige. Veeck wouldn't let him, stating as long as he had a baseball team, Paige was going to pitch on it.
Hell yeah.
And Paige is like 45 at this point?
Yeah.
50?
Yeah, it's about mid to late 40s.
Yeah.
Hornsby was also just a bad coach for players in general. He wouldn't let his teams take batting practice with the safety nets up. So when teams are doing batting practice, they're also doing fielding practice at the same time. So you put a big net in front of the first baseman,
Right.
so he can take throws to first base.
get
Like
fucking
Heads
hit
up,
by
hot shot.
yeah, and
a
so
rope.
yeah, one time during practice, their first baseman got hit in the head by a line drive,
Oh my God.
and Hornsby also
And he became a beautiful mind after that.
Yeah. He went blind and had all these neighborhood kids playing baseball trying to get their ball back from his dog.
in his mind. One of the players on the team, his wife was in labor and he wanted to leave the team to go visit her, and Hornsby wouldn't let him. And Veeck overruled him and said, as long as anybody needs to do that. And Hornsby said, that makes two rules for people. And Veeck said, well, if you
Make it a rule for everybody.
yeah.
It's not also at the time, I mean, I imagine that at this time, most men would not take time out of their day job to go be with their wife in labor. So at the time, for it was an unreasonable request. You know?
Yeah. What's that got to do with you?
I'm at the club drinking with my fellows.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
The boys are all here.
We're here drinking scotch and smoking cigars. you know that this is my time of the week that I do this.
Now, so Veeck eventually, after that incident, Veeck fired Hornsby, and Page started pitching brilliantly again, and Casey Stengel selected Page as the only St. Louis Brown for the All-Star team.
Cool.
That year in 1952, they finished 7th with 64 wins, 7th out of 8 teams, and Page won 12 of the 64 games.
Wow.
His players, though, the Veeck's players loved him for multiple reasons, not just because he always seemed to look out for them, but also here's a story from pitcher Dwayne Pillette. He said he's the nicest man I ever met. No matter how badly you did, he'd come over and try to make you feel good about yourself. And he also said he might have been extra thankful because he said, one evening during the 52 season, Bill had us all out for a barbecue, and Sunday I looked over, and he took off his shoe, dove into the swimming pool, pulled out my son who was unconscious.
Fuck.
The boy, who was 8 years old, was a good swimmer, but hit his head on the side of the pool. Ooh. And Veeck had seen him not come up. And Pillette asked Veeck how he had been the only one to notice, and Veeck said, simple. I like kids. There's just a man who pays attention to people around him.
Yeah, man. I mean, fuck, it's his pool, right?
Yeah, he's got his third leg dipped down there in the deep end.
Oh, come on.
But
his kid dove head first into the fucking thing.
Oh, my God.
that's a good story. Here's a bad one.
I'll tell you, the bad one is the dad not noticing.
Yeah. Well.
That's the bad story.
Well, you can't watch your kid the entire time, you know?
That your fucking house in scotch.
He's a good swimmer, you know? He dives into the pool. How long does it take for someone to drown? Not long.
Yeah.
I mean, this guy,
and his
this guy is drowning in his bottomless scotch.
Watch your fucking kid.
It's not that simple, John.
All right.
I mean, these kids are fast. I'll tell you that.
But if you don't, you have to watch him every single second he's in the pool. That's why that's what lifeguards do.
Yeah. Or if you don't have a lifeguard, you watch your kid.
You get one of those fences. You know, you put the water wings on them.
Sure. Floaties, etc.
I mean, listen, a
All right, now
lot of parties to blame.
What's
here.
the bad story? So we're going to hear a bad one about Bill Veeck here?
No, not about Phil. Well, it's a bad story, but it's not because of Phil.
Well, why tell a bad story?
This involves a young outfielder named J.W. Porter. In late July, Veeck made a deal for Porter, who was on the road in Lincoln, Nebraska. At the time, Porter lived in Colorado Springs, and his 18-year-old wife did not drive, so Veeck arranged to have her driven to St. Louis by her father, who he flew in from Oakland, California. Father and daughter were tragically killed en route in a head-on collision. The job of telling the 19-year-old Porter fell to Veeck, who told the reporter some years later it was the hardest thing he ever did do in his life.
That is a bad story.
When Porter returned to the team after the funeral, a message was waiting for him at the hotel, inviting him to move in with Bill, Mary Frances, and their young son in their ballpark apartment. Veeck became a father figure to Porter, consoling him and keeping him busy.
Oh, man.
Porter availed himself of Veeck's gargantuan record collection with a jukebox that allowed him to play Frank Sinatra with the tap of a button. Two men played on the field when the ballpark was empty.
Damn, that's
That's
cool.
so sweet.
Dude, that is so nice.
We'd run with each other and pitch to each other. He'd pitch 20 minutes of batting practice with that artificial leg, and he'd start to bleed, then he'd shrug it off.
Fuck. And you get to move into this cool, 10-room apartment at a baseball field. It's got a jukebox, probably a ball pit, and a fucking Mortal Kombat 2 arcade game.
Definitely a pool.
Yeah, no kids.
Twice while Porter was living in the stadium, Veeck brought in a big band and named singer, first Eddie Fisher and then Vic Damone, who entertained...
Vic Damone from Fast Times at Ridgemont High?
Maybe it's Damone or something.
Yeah, cool.
Who entertained between innings. At the end of the game, a portable dance floor was put down and dancing commenced in the early hours of the morning. Veeck told Damone what happened to Porter, and after the festivities were over, the singer took him out for early morning entertainment. The singer and the young ball player became friends and would see each other more than 50 years later. Also, when Porter managed the West Palm Beach Expos of the Florida State League, his hitting instructor was Larry Doby. The two men, as far as they could determine, became the first interracial roommates in baseball history. Some nights they would lie in bed and talk about Bill Veeck. As Porter said to Doby, that man really loved Bill Veeck.
Roommates?
Aww.
Yeah. Everybody has to room.
Yeah.
Lovers, too.
That's sweet.
It's very sweet.
That's very sweet.
Man.
I like that.
What a
lot.
time, dude. What a fucking character, bro.
Yeah.
Jesus
Come on,
Christ.
move in with me and the young wife.
Man, that's wild.
We got a freezer just for ice cream. You know?
Yeah.
Cool stuff like that.
Yeah.
You know what I
Like
mean?
big.
Dude, in a year, you're not even gonna think about your wife.
During the winter baseball meetings of 1950, after the 1952 season, Veeck unknowingly started the downfall of his reign with the Browns. He angered the other American League bosses by arguing that the home team should share their radio and TV revenue with the visiting teams. When he was voting down, he would declare he would withhold all of the St. Louis revenue until he got his road percentages back. In retribution, the wealthier AL clubs withheld night games from Veeck, the night games being the most lucrative games to split for visiting teams.
Yeah.
Baseball Commissioner Ford Frick was unmoved and later said Veeck was trying to take over the American League. They eventually did make a deal, and Veeck got some of the games back, but it was pretty clear that the rest of the owners in the American League were not going to go along with whatever scheme he proposed for them. Then his hopes of driving out the Cardinals from St. Louis died too, when the team's owner was sentenced to 15 months in jail for tax evasion. Can you imagine that?
Huh.
The Anheuser-Busch Brewery bought the team, and Veeck knew that he couldn't outspend a corporation, and he'd have to move his team. Side note, the Sportsman Park, where the Browns played, was purchased by the Anheuser-Busch Brewery. They were going to call it Budweiser Stadium or something, and baseball made them change it. So now it's called Busch Stadium, which is also a beer.
Fucking goddamn it.
Be cool if it was Butt Wiper Stadium.
Yeah.
Veeck, he made some lists of where he could move his team, eventually settled on Baltimore, and he had a deal in place with the mayor of Baltimore, Nancy Pelosi's grandfather, and also a big-time lawyer. But with everything in place, the American League owners vetoed the deal, seemingly out of spite. There was no reason for them to veto the deal, but it seemed like they just didn't want Bill Veeck to have a team.
Damn. These people.
Now, the fans in St. Louis weren't big of the move either, and attendance plummeted the next season. One night, Veeck, sitting with Washington Post reporter Herb Heft, said, It's a good thing I brought my car along. I can drive all the fans home after the game.
Poor guys.
Come on over to my crib.
I got an orphan and my young bride.
Yeah. He goes, I got a devastated widower. My Catholic bride. Never thought she'd be living in a ballpark.
Enough tokens for Mortal Kombat 2 for everybody.
You can be Goro, for Christ's sake.
Whatever you want. Hell, I got fucking Revolution X, the one with Aerosmith. You can shoot the CDs from the gun. I got that.
Goro, the guy's got fucking 4 arms.
Come on.
I wish I had him pitching on one of my teams.
Yeah, boy, would that have boosted attendance, huh? Shit. Honey, take a note. Find a Goro.
You'll have to go to the Shadow Realm.
I'll put in a call to Shao Kahn. And Shang Tsung, for that matter, too. I met him in the war. Good guy.
Yeah.
Shapeshifty.
Yeah. I like to call him Wang Hung because he got a big old hog on the fucker.
What else?
What else? Now, one day on May 6th of that season, Veeck felt so bad about his team, he announced to the crowd that the game was on the house. All fans would be given a rain check for another game.
Jesus fuck.
Even more to their delight, though, that day, the Browns pitcher was Alva Bobo Holoman, and he threw a no-hitter in his first ever league start.
Holy shit.
He would throw only 2 more. He would only win 2 more games the rest of his career. The team then lost 15 of the next 18 games, and Veeck said, "Fuck it, I'm going to throw a party."
That's what's up.
Yeah.
That's what's up.
And fucking party.
So he held a party for the team to loosen them up. It was held at the Aviation Room at the Carter Hotel. Elegant space decorated with airplane memorabilia from the Cleveland Air Races, dominated by a glass-framed picture of World War I ace Eddie Rickenbacker. Veeck insisted the whole ball club be there, hired a piano player, laid out an enormous spread of food and drink.
Brought the portable dance floor.
Yeah. And the pitcher...
You gotta blow it up.
One of the pitchers said they were having a great time, but around 1 o'clock in the morning, a few of us started to get ready to leave. Veeck got by the door and said, "Nobody can leave until I say they can leave." Then he started opening champagne, squirting at everybody. A couple of the pitcher and another guy caught him and poured a bottle of him right in his back. He was laughing so hard we could barely hold him. Then there's 1 bottle of scotch left, and Veeck grabbed it and threw it at Eddie Rickenbacker's picture and smashed the glass frame into 1,000 pieces.
Oh my God.
It was a great party. Cost him $1,800.
Jesus.
The team went out the next day and lost its 8th straight game.
Fuck it.
You're stuck in here with me.
Nobody can leave. Jesus Christ. It's a freak off. We're having a freak off. This is the first one.
I got guys with telescopes in all the sconces.
We're going to play some J-Lo videos.
Now, after the season, still the Browns, they went through a streak during the season where they lost 20 straight home games. They lost 100 games total that season. Now, it's not even top 20 in Major League history now, nor the worst ever for the team itself. But they drew 100,000 fewer fans. There's only so many promotions that work when the team sucks really, really hard. After the season, the Baltimore group threatened to bring an antitrust case against the major leagues until they realized that the owners just wanted Veeck out. They didn't care where the team went as long as Veeck wasn't with them. So the Baltimore group bought him out, and the team was allowed to move. They changed their name to the Orioles.
Ah.
Heard of him? A little guy called Cal Ripken Jr. The Iron Man.
Mary Frances always thought that the other owners didn't like Veeck because he wanted the revenue sharing, but journalist Faye Young maintained it was because Veeck had signed so many black players. At the time that he was basically voted out of the league, 5 of the 8 teams in the American League still hadn't signed any.
Wow.
Less than 2 weeks later, Veeck was hired by the Chicago Cubs to figure out how to bring the National League to the West Coast. There was a minor league team out there. The Cubs affiliate was playing at Wrigley Field in Los Angeles, but there was no major league teams. Veeck moved his family to Los Angeles, became the face of baseball's Western expansion, trying to convince the California governor, Goodwood Knight, to publicly finance stadiums in Los Angeles and San Francisco with revenue bonds that would be paid off by rent from the teams. In L.A., Veeck had a delayed meeting with Howard Hughes. He had a friend who wanted to buy Hughes's brewery, and after about a month, after he relayed this to Hughes's people, took about a month or so, and eventually he got a call at like 2 a.m. where Hughes said, "Come meet me at this hamburger joint."
Nice.
I'll be the guy covered in his own shit.
Yeah.
There was no one there but Veeck and Howard Hughes, and the first thing Howard Hughes said was, "I don't want to sell my brewery." And Veeck said, it was a year later, and Veeck said, "My friend already bought one. See ya." And that was the end of the whole conversation.
My friend already bought a brewery?
Yeah, because a friend wanted to buy Hughes's brewery. Hughes put off the meeting for a year and then told Veeck that he wasn't going to sell, and Veeck said, he bought one 8 months ago.
I came here just to see if you'd get out of the house.
Yeah.
Your long-ass toenails and shit.
Yeah.
Disgusting.
After about 10 months of working on, Veeck had his business plan for the National League for any team interested in moving, noting that the American League was hot in their tails. San Francisco and Los Angeles had financing deals in place for stadiums. It would increase baseball's market by 25%, according to his business plan. And the first 2 West Coast teams would be 2 national teams from New York City, moving to San Francisco and Los Angeles.
Hell yeah.
So that's the one thing I didn't know, that he was
instrumental.
Yeah.
In bringing baseball to California.
Yeah.
I mean, straight not in just the West Coast, but California, and 25% increase.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they're big cities, you know.
Yeah.
All they had to do was kick out a bunch of Mexicans from Chavez Ravine.
Yeah, that's it.
I mean, it's just these are just small little bullet points on the itinerary.
Yeah, right.
Displacing an entire population of people who've been there for. I mean, we're putting a parking lot.
Yeah. And maybe a gondola.
Oh God.
So Veeck then moved his family to a New Mexico ranch, where he severed an artery one day when he got tired of his paint sprayer being too slow. So he unhooked the quart of paint, hooked up a gallon jar. The pressure gauge exploded and cut his artery. The guy who was watching his ranch bundled it into a car and kept him alive by driving really fast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And taking like big turns.
Yeah.
It keeps the heart pumping.
Yeah.
Yeah. Check this out.
Yeah.
Woo! You might not make it, pal.
You want a bump?
Veeck later said he willed himself to survive because I wanted to see how this came out.
The Western expansion.
No, life.
Oh.
Oh, I thought you meant the Western expansion too.
Yeah.
Then he was hired by the minor league Miami Marlins to help make them a major league club.
That's funny that they ended up they became the Florida Marlins.
Yes.
And then they went back to being the Miami Marlins.
I know, yeah. I didn't know they were originally Miami Marlins either.
Crazy stuff, huh?
His first job was to get a lease on Miami Stadium. When talks broke down, Veeck rolled up his pants leg and started removing his artificial leg, stating, "Here, you might as well have this too." It broke up the room, and everybody signed the contract then.
You know, a little humor, lighten up the mood.
Puts everybody in a good mood, man.
Yeah.
Don't make me pull out my third leg, huh?
Never underestimate the power of a good joke.
Yeah.
It really is just like, people go like, you know what, fuck it.
It's disarming.
It is disarming.
The second thing he did was sign
It's his legging, actually.
Yeah, it's just,
It
yeah.
is.
The second thing he did was sign Satchel Paige.
Hell yeah.
Page's first appearance was arriving by helicopter when Veeck had him flown in for his first game.
Dude, helicopters were just invented.
Yeah.
When the helicopter blew dirt all over the fans, a local reporter told Veeck the crowd would probably hate that. Veeck told him to put it in his column that anyone who sent their dry cleaning bill to him would have it paid. He said they'll remember this for the rest of their lives.
Yeah. Satchel Paige probably 65 by now.
No, I think he's about 49. The manager was not amused. He didn't want Satchel Paige, so Veeck took the manager out to dinner and made an offer. Line up your 9 best hitters. I'll pay $10 to any of them who got a clean hit off Paige. Paige retired all 9.
Damn.
In his first game, he pitched a complete game, 4-hit shutout. In mid-August, on his 49th birthday, Paige had 10 wins and 2 losses. Veeck later set up a game for the team to be played in Miami's Orange Bowl, where Satchel Paige was pitching. Now, the game was slightly delayed because Paige said there was like Cab Calloway performed beforehand. There were other celebrities, and Paige spent all of the pregame taking pictures of all of as many people as he could, and they had to tell him to put his camera down because he had to go pitch.
Yeah, go
Oh, man, yeah. Everybody's a party guy. I love it.
Baseball, man. It's not a sport. That's what they're thinking.
Yeah. I mean, we'll do that later.
Yeah.
But we're here to fucking party, man.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Paige said also he said he would only pitch in that game if the team paid off his $500 bill that he had incurred in Memphis, and they did that. They had Cab Calloway there, Merv Griffin, 57,000 people in the stadium, and the foul pole was only 200 feet from home plate on right field because it was a football stadium.
Oh, my God.
And so the opposing team loaded up their lineup with lefties. But only one hit went to right field. Paige kept nipping the outside corner, forcing the batters to hit the left. In the 6-2 victory, Paige not only pitched into the 8th inning, but also drove in 3 runs with a 330-foot double to left center.
Damn.
It raised $30,000 for charity.
Damn.
Man, that's so cool.
Let's see. During his 3 seasons with the Marlins, Paige would compile a record of 31-22, ERA of 2.73. So he would have been about 52 by the time he was stopped pitching for them.
That's incredible.
It's
wild.
Like, and he's not doing the cream or the clear or the
right.
Like, you also have to wonder, like, how bad these white guys were
Yeah.
compared to him. Like,
I mean, it's the minor leagues. They can't be that bad.
You're not, no matter what kind of freak you are, you're not going to have the same type of fucking heat on your arm.
No, he's throwing a lot of junk.
It's a lot of junk and a lot of knowing how to pitch.
Mm-hmm. Being accurate.
Yes, being accurate and being smart in your pitch selection. And boy, these fucking youngsters must have just been like,
Yeah.
not to take away, I don't mean to take anything away from Satchel Paige, but I mean,
No, I mean, I think there's a whole finesse to it. Like,
yeah, it's incredible.
Yeah.
It's an incredible achievement.
Eventually, Veeck, after 1 season, he saw the Marlins would not be led into the majors anytime soon. He made attempts to buy the Detroit Tigers. They were rebuffed, probably because of race. The Tigers, 9 years after Doby and Robinson, still had not signed any black players. And multiple columnists wrote that they didn't want Veeck's antics.
His uppity antics.
Yes.
Yeah. The team of Ty Cobb.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Veeck decided he was missing his family, went back to his ranch.
His second family.
Yes.
First family he doesn't miss.
Well, he does,
Yeah,
but
not as much.
it's, yeah.
You got to pick and choose. You only have so much time, and only one leg.
At the end of 1958, Veeck heard that 54% of the Chicago White Sox were up for sale. He put together a bid and got him. He basically was co-owner with Charles Comiskey. In the first game, he threw the opening pitch to Comiskey.
Wow.
His first move was to improve the stadium. He put cloth towels in the restrooms, lights in the hallways, bright paint. Useless pillars were torn down. He removed the rancid butter smell around the concessions. He said, "We tried 15 chemical sprays, but we found the one that worked."
Bleach! Damn.
He also installed a radar system to detect approaching rainstorms so ushers could hand out free rain capes before fans got wet.
Oh, that's great. I thought you were going to say to detect the speed of the pitch.
That's what I thought too. Yeah.
Rain.
Yeah.
Even better.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, he's on the side of the spectator, which
This guy is a thinker.
Yeah.
He also made the ballpark friendly for women, stationing ushers just inside the gates to look for women who appeared to be there for the first time and usher them to their seats. He redecorated the women's locker rooms, removing the harsh fluorescent lighting, installing flattering lights, full-length mirrors, and vanity tables. He again installed blackboards in the men's room so they could write their graffiti on the blackboard instead of on the wall. He also said,
I mean, why haven't we done that everywhere? Why aren't fucking train cars and building walls in Van Nuys made of chalkboard?
Yeah. Do it, man.
I think we're on the verge of something big here.
he also set up a...
Did he leave chalk out for them?
Yeah.
Or did people just have
Yeah,
chalk?
people just walking around with chalk. I mean, I don't know, man. It's the 50s, probably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In a ballpoint, yeah.
He also set up what was almost a computerized ticketing system, where he had. There's a local sporting goods store in Chicago that had 13 locations, and you could go into any of those locations, and you could buy a ticket to the White Sox at the store. You would call up the team, and they would give you options on seating locations, and then you would get a carbon copy of your ticket, and they would have one at the stadium as well.
That's pretty cool.
So you could buy a ticket to the White Sox game without having to go to the stadium.
Smart.
What a
When you got
trip.
13 locations, hey.
And what year is this?
This is 58.
Damn.
That's real smart.
Nutty.
It's like movie phone.
Yeah.
On opening day, he announced that during the 7th inning stretch that a free beer was on the house for every fan, all 19,000 of them.
Even kids.
Yeah. He courted female fans. On Mother's Day, he offered free admission and an orchid for every woman, for each child. If a mother showed up with a picture of their children, she got an orchid for as many children as she had.
They're
and free
vaginal
admission.
flowers.
They are very vaginal.
3,900 women showed up. He also later had multiple S&H green stamp giveaways to women. Each hand out about 10,000 green stamps. It's worth about $5,000 or $5 today.
What are those?
They're basically food stamps.
Cool.
And but $5 back then would go pretty far for buying food.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also very Barnum-esque. Make it a family affair. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, he recognized that women and black people would like to go to baseball games.
And they'd
Right.
like to spend their money.
Yeah. And they should be welcome there.
Yeah.
In between games of a doubleheader, he threw a full-on circus once with prancing stallions, little people, giants, clowns, snake charmers, sword swallowers, acrobats, and 9 elephants. The White Sox won both games.
He brought the circus to the ballpark.
Yeah, exactly.
Literally.
Yeah.
In between games of another doubleheader, he had a cricket match in which all the players were
No.
imported,
No.
but he let 2 of his players take at bats. As the 2 White Sox players made baseball swings at the baseball, the crowd chanted, "That's not cricket."
Have they done a movie like that where like, oh, we're gonna get the cricket guy and put him here?
Right, because they've done they've done the kicker one. For
Well, yeah, they did that with like Necessary Roughness. They've done it with Air Bud a number of times. There's like 1,000 Air Buds. They've done it with
they ever done,
Ricky
like-
Bobby. They did it with the Formula One
Right.
into NASCAR. Haven't seen them do it with the fucking cricket.
Yeah. Or a rugby guy into American football.
They did that in Necessary Roughness too.
Oh, really?
As well. Yeah. I
Interesting.
think it was the guy that played Kano in Mortal Kombat, the first movie.
Nice.
He was the rugby player or the Aussie Rules football player who
Yeah.
would go out there with that helmet and fucking just get wrecked.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool. Good reference though.
Subterranean. What's that? Something like underground.
And during one game in July, he gave away large quantities of stuff to fans.
Stuff?
One guy got 1,000 pickles. Another guy got 1,000 bottles of beer.
Empty?
Jesus.
Full?
Another guy got 1,000 cans of chow mein. Of course, one guy got 1,000 silver dollars encased in a block of ice.
You gotta wait.
Another guy got 500 tins of smoked grasshoppers.
Not 1,000?
Another guy got 10,000 tickets to a minor league baseball game. I think 500 is the most he could.
Oh, 10,000 tickets?
To a minor league baseball game. To minor league, so he give them away.
Is it only for one game?
I think it
Or
was.
can you use them for any game?
I think it was for one game.
You and 999,099
friends.
your closest friends.
Yeah.
You're going to have to start calling now.
Yeah.
Write letters.
Yeah.
Whatever you got.
Meet people.
But for his grand finale for that game, all of this happened in one game. For his grand finale for that game, he gave one fan 500 free tuxedo rentals.
Oh my God.
Just buy him a tux.
No, it's better.
No.
That means every week for one night, for 10 years, you can wear a tuxedo.
Yeah.
Or for a year and a half straight, you can wear nothing but tuxedos. A brand new one, too.
Every day.
Yeah. You're like, why are you wearing a tux, dude?
I'm not a farmer.
Yeah, you're like, well, it's TGIF. Or whatever. You just wear a tux for any reason?
Yeah, TGI, whatever day of the week it is.
Yeah.
When the local steelworkers went on strike, he announced Steelworker Night and gave away more than 7,000 tickets to steelworkers.
That's cool.
He also had teachers' nights, cab drivers' nights, and transit worker nights. Free tickets for all of them. When the locals around the stadium complained about the noise, he had a good neighbor night, and he sent tickets to everybody who lived around the park.
Holy shit. Dude, so, I mean, is he blowing all of his money? Because it seems like he's giving away too much, does it not?
Well, it's not like you're paying. It's not an expenditure. It's
a write-off, is what you're saying?
No. What I'm saying is he's not spending. He's not outputting cash. He's foregoing revenue, which on the books are the same thing, but it's not the same as putting out money. It's sacrificing potential monies, I suppose. I wouldn't say he's burning through cash. He's not taking as much as he could in.
Right.
But it sounds like it's paying off. I don't know.
It could be, with the stadium that holds, let's say, 50,000 people, there's 7,000 free tickets. Maybe those people wouldn't show up anyway. So some percentage of them wouldn't show up anyway. They're showing up. So maybe you make up
buying hot dogs,
exactly,
etc.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So maybe you make up that revenue in some other way. But also
just
goodwill.
Goodwill and reinvestment, and then everybody has a good opinion of you. They're more likely to buy a ticket another time.
Someone who hasn't seen a baseball game brings their kid. First time they both see it, and they go, "Actually, this was a lot of fun."
Yeah.
Maybe they'll come back.
And who knows what he's going to do next time?
Yes, right. And the big difference here is also his team was good. White Sox hadn't had a losing season for 7 years before he bought them. In 1959, they were hot. They won 41 of 57 games in July and August. September, the hard-hitting Cleveland Indians came to town, and Veeck proposed what he called Project Indian Wall, which is a wire fence above the outfield wall. He claimed it would be to keep our exuberant fans from falling onto the field. The idea was rejected by the American League.
And American Indians across this nation. Well, build a wall.
Yeah.
But the White Sox won the 1959 pennant. It was the first postseason appearance for the team since 1919 Black Sox.
Damn, really?
Yeah.
Fuck.
50 years?
Yeah. Or 40 years.
Excuse me.
But also under Veeck, too.
Yeah.
In the midst of all this bullshit, they won the pennant?
Mm-hmm. The Chicago Fire Commissioner ordered a celebratory 5-minute ringing of the city's air raid sirens.
Oh, yeah, that didn't shock some people into heart attack.
Well, I think one fan later said, those were Cubs fans who were complaining. God. Mayor Daley claimed it had been done in accordance with a little-known proclamation that, quote, there shall be whistles and sirens blowing, and there shall be great happiness when the White Sox win the pennant.
And great gnashing of teeth.
Yeah.
Yes.
There'll be weeping and gnashing of teeth.
The lamentations of the women, etc.
100,000 fans met the team plane when it arrived after clinching the pennant.
The ceviche shall be as fresh as you've ever had it.
And the crime and the graft will go on as before.
There was a ticker tape. They hadn't even played the World Series yet, but there was a ticker tape parade for the team. There were 700,000 people showed up.
Fucking
Was that
Jesus.
the fucking population of the city?
No, there's a couple million by then.
Okay, well, it's a lot.
It's a grip
A lot
of
of
them.
people. Veeck re-signed the manager to what he called the largest contract in the history of the team. It was 10 feet wide and 7 feet tall.
You son of a bitch.
Oh my God.
It's the largest contract in the history of sports. I mean, look at this thing. And he got that little guy standing next to it to make it even look bigger. You know?
Oh yeah. Jesus fuck.
That is so stupid.
Mm-hmm.
I love stupid.
Dumb is fun.
The team would lose to the Los Angeles Dodgers in the World
God
Series.
damn it. Hell yeah. That's right. Dodger pride, man.
But by the end of the season, the White Sox had doubled their attendance from the previous year. They had tripled the amount of female fans. They had, after the gross income at the gate, excluding radio, TV, and concessions, was $3.5 million. So he's still making money. And then you count the TV and the concessions. And also, Veeck, during that season, he had toyed with stats. What he did is he said, sent a fellow to the public library in Chicago for the summer to find out what happened to left-handed hitters against right-handed pitching and vice versa.
He invented fucking Moneyball.
Kind of. He said, we found that a batter with better than a 300 average lost less than a half percentage point. Those who hit 276 to 300 lost 17, and those between 250 and 275 lost 34%. Those below that collapsed. In other words, good hitters weren't affected by having a pitcher of throwing
Left or right.
left or right.
Well, that's not super mind-blowing.
But
good hitters hit better.
But he actually put the stats together.
Yeah,
that's the thing.
that's the
beginning.
the beginning of the money or sabermetrics, you might even call it.
Sure, yeah, exactly.
Now baseball is the ultimate sport for that. There's no other sport, I think, that has so many permutations and
no other sport is as static.
Yeah,
and allows for such
static. That's a good, nice, statistical. Also, baseball is very static. No, nothing.
Yes.
Everybody just stands there.
Let's take a quick little break, and when we come back, I'll tell you about the exploding scoreboard.
All right, we'll be right back, folks. And we're back.
Hey, all right. So, he did some other, things. He repainted the stadium again, and one reporter said he drove around with him for a night, and before he dropped the reporter off, he brought him back to the stadium and went into the kitchen and took a bunch of steaks out, gave them to the reporter, and said, "Hand these out." And then during the drive, dropped Veeck off home. Veeck ate an entire steak raw in the car.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah. That
Man
sounds
of-
like you.
Man of ambition.
Frozen.
Yeah.
Now, so in 1960, Veeck installed the exploding scoreboard. He later claimed it brought 5,000 extra fans to each game, and that year they had a new attendance record. From the idea came from when he was watching a James Cagney movie called The Time of Your Life, and he said the character in the film was always playing pinball machines. Toward the finish, he finally hit the jackpot, and there's the damnedest racket and flashing of lights he ever heard or saw.
People love that shit.
And it was $300,000 at the time, 130-foot wide scoreboard. It had lights, sirens, a, quote, soxogram message board, and multicolored pinwheels. It was called the Screeching Banshee. Tribune story, Chicago.
Did he have guys with telescopes in there?
I don't think so. A Chicago Tribune story from 1960 explained how it would work. Firing platform at the back of the scoreboard to go into action when a White Sox player hits a home run. There'll be noises of varying tones and intensities. When Al Smith hits a homer, simulated hoofbeats and horses will be heard. Al won a horse in Puerto Rico that spring for leading the White Sox and Phillies in homers in a 3-game series. Other buttons will produce varying noises, such as thunder and the collision of locomotives.
Oh my God.
8 ladders atop the scoreboard will flash in electrical patterns. Strobe lights atop 2 high ladders, and bombs and fireworks will also be exploded from the firing platform. Mary Frances, Veeck's wife, told the Tribune she thought the scoreboard wasn't very genteel. But she said, I mean, if you do something well, shouldn't you just be modest about it? But the fans loved it, and I came to love it too. And Casey Stengel, when he managed the Yankees, he had an answer for the quiet scoreboard when one of his players hit a homer. He had 4 or 5 of his men light sparklers in the dugout.
Yay.
And I'm going to show you a little video here
Oh, my God. Oh, that is pretty cool.
of the exploding scoreboard.
No, that's awesome. I thought it was going to really explode.
Let me get the Bluetooth here. Okay.
Kick it.
Let's get some sound of this motherfucker.
Miller Lite.
Yeah, Winston, no bull.
The first exploding scoreboard. Where did you get the idea for that?
To show a time of your life, if you remember, there was sitting in the back of the saloon. Every once in a while, a guy would come up and get another roll of nickels, and he'd go back and play a pinball game. And nothing happened, and nothing happened. But you knew, there's some point to this. And just before the final curtain, he hits the jackpot, and everything happened. The whole board exploded, the flags came up, it played Dixie. And I thought, what a wonderful idea. Because that emphasizes the importance of home. Home runs really, basically, are strangely enough, except for the result, are dull. Because it happens so fast. It isn't like a triple with a bases full with everybody running and keep running. It's just boom and it's gone. So I thought, we'll try and make this more dramatic.
Brilliant. Now it's de rigueur.
It's hit a mile in the air. It is gone. Upper deck, tie score. Luzinski's 27th rocket in the air.
Look at all these old
with 2
big
out of the 9th
Polak
rising.
baseball players. Look like fucking refrigerators running around
Well,
them
they kept hitting
bases.
them a little farther.
Look at the fucking fireworks going off.
Dude,
The only
incredible.
thing is, I didn't dream that I would create, once again, a monster.
Once
like
again,
Dr. Frankenstein, that would try and usurp the ball game. Because you see, with all the instant replays and all these things, people forget to watch the game because they know we can see that.
Where do you activate
He's
the
still
fireworks
right.
when
Yeah.
somebody...
And so
I honestly think it's not done enough to this day. If you're at Dodger Stadium, even you can hear a fucking clack of a ball and a home run can happen. If you're talking to your friend, you could not even know that a fucking home run could happen. If something is dinging off like it's a fucking like a Vegas showroom, making a big deal out of it, it makes you pay more attention to the game, and it shows what an impressive feat it is to do that. You know what I mean? But like, you could go get a hot dog and not know somebody got a home run.
Yeah.
The whole place should shut down. You know what I mean? Like, it should be like, whoa, like the lights should start flashing. I'm not joking. Like,
yeah, and for a long, basically up until Babe Ruth, home runs were seen as inelegant.
yes.
It wasn't the point of the game. It was
Right.
just to happen to the stands. It was like, ground rule double, basically.
Yeah, right.
And then he made it a thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then this guy made it the point,
Yeah.
yeah.
for better or worse.
Mm-hmm.
But just engagement with the fans. Everything I see from Veeck is just trying to draw fans more into baseball
And make them enjoy every part of it.
Every
Yes.
single decision, and being like, you came here for a reason. You want a fucking show. We're gonna give you a fucking show.
Yeah.
We're gonna make it as accommodating for you as possible.
Yeah.
And
And it's entertaining.
we're just gonna show you we give a Veeck. You know what I mean?
All right. Okay, I see what you did there. You mean like a fuck?
That's basically what I was getting at.
Or frig?
Or frig even.
Another invention for the next season with Veeck is an idea he got from Basketball War Outfits. Is that was putting the name of the players on the back of their uniforms.
Huh? Which
No.
still some teams don't do.
Yes, but
He did that?
no one had done it in baseball before him, or in any other sport. It seems like
Just numbers.
they had just done numbers. Yeah, not names. But
Bless you, Angel. Bless you, my God.
he felt with, especially with so many new fans, especially female fans, that they would want to know who was who.
Who's that cute guy? I
Yeah,
could
is
fuck
that
later,
hot
maybe?
guy?
Yeah.
Who's that little chubster?
And it's
chasing-
also like in football and basketball and soccer, like the numbers matter because it's like, all right, technical foul, 2-4 on the right. Like in baseball, the numbers don't matter at all. Zero.
In soccer, it's like their numbers are based on their position.
Right.
In football too.
Yes.
But in baseball, it's
I
less
can't believe they
clear-cut.
even have numbers at all. They should
Right.
only have names or a picture of their face blown up.
Yeah. Or of their children.
Or of Andre the Giant.
Yeah.
Their favorite Marvel character.
Yeah,
Mascot.
Yeah. A swastika even,
Oh
John?
my God! Don't say my name after that.
You know.
I don't know.
You know.
I don't know. Fuck you, dude.
And but when he did this, it hit all of the newspapers. And Ted Kluszewski, the chubby man you saw running around the bases there, the Z in his name was put in backwards.
Cool.
And the Paul Dixon, who wrote the book about Veeck here, he believes that Veeck did that on purpose because that would get him more attention.
It stands out.
And it worked. The pictures of Kluszewski with the backwards Z appeared in the New York Times and many other newspapers. And the American Football League actually called Veeck and asked if they could use that, put names on their players too.
Yeah.
They thought he had, copyrighted the idea or something, and Veeck gave them their blessing.
It's like It's like when they put the number 7 in the movie 7.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In June of that season, Veeck had his 7th amputation on his leg. Damn. This time cutting it 3 inches above the knee.
7?
Yeah.
Death by 8 cuts.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that was in 7.
His sin was showmanship.
Now, that season, the White Sox didn't repeat as pennant winners, but in the offseason after that, Veeck worked with a Washington, D.C.-based law firm to pressure the Washington Redskins football team to integrate, feeling it was a terrible look for the nation's capital to be purposefully not signing black players.
Or be called the Redskins.
Well, yeah. He also convinced the nationwide usher service to integrate themselves as well.
And that's why we have the music recording artist Usher.
That's right.
Very true.
At the beginning of the 61 season, when Veeck heard complaints from that the vendors were blocking the views of fans, he hired Eddie Goodell and 7 other little people to work the
Oh my God.
Good.
That is...
But
It's great. It's inclusive.
Get the Cracker Jacks here. Where?
Right here. Pops up right between your crotch.
But however, at the beginning of the 61 season, Veeck's nonstop lifestyle, they said that multiple times he would show up at the ballpark at 8 a.m. after being out all night, and a meeting was going to happen in 10 minutes, so he'd go into his office and change his shirt and come out and be ready to go for the meeting.
Now, was he a real partier or was he schmoozing? Was he chopping
He
it
was
up?
out schmoozing.
So not necessarily a party animal,
Right.
but this was almost part of the job for him.
Yes. It was go out and see the
Entertain,
reporters and the
social
fans.
animal.
And,
Cavorting,
Yeah.
gallivanting,
He was
carousing.
selling the team just by being out.
He wasn't Dennis Rodmaning.
No.
He was, entertaining.
Yeah.
Interesting.
He was smoking 5 to 6 packs of cigarettes a day.
Oh my Jesus fuck.
Oh God,
Yeah.
Bill. 5 to 6.
I mean, when you're out that long,
How many are in a pack?
20.
Okay. So 100
to 120.
to 120.
Mm-hmm.
And how many hours are there in a day?
Usually 24.
All right. So you are having a cigarette every 10 minutes. You are nonstop smoking.
Yeah.
That means if you're not sleeping.
But also, like in that time too, like you're leaving them in the ashtray. a long
you
time.
smoke them, you put them in the ashtray, but still, the entire time you're still breathing
You're
in.
smoking all day. It's like Oppenheimer or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hopefully, giving them away to some people,
Kids,
Yeah.
children,
Yeah.
dwarves.
the fans.
Yeah.
Because you could smoke anywhere back then, of course.
Yeah. Oh God. Yeah.
And they were cheap. So you could have a couple of drags, flick it in some poor guy's head.
But he started having coughing fits and frequent headaches. At times, he would lose control of the right side of his body and occasionally black out. He stopped driving around this time because of that.
Yeah. That'll do it.
In April, he entered the Mayo Clinic to undergo a checkup. And later he would say he secretly felt that he would never walk out of there alive. The clinic initially thought he had lung cancer that had spread to his brain, but upon more tests...
Brain cancer that spread to his lungs.
Upon more tests, the cancer was ruled out. Eventually, he was sent home and told to keep his smoking habit to 1 pack a day.
Tone it down.
And for his health, and also he stated that around this time he felt like he is becoming a absentee owner, and for his health.
What year is this?
This is 61.
Okay.
He sold the White Sox again. And the day he sold it, he walked out of the Tribune Tower, and spontaneously 100 cabbies lined up outside the building and flashed their lights in tribute to him.
Damn. Shit.
5 days after Veeck sold the club.
Yeah, cabbie night and shit.
Yeah,
They love this fucking guy.
Yeah. 5 days after Veeck sold the club, Eddie Goodell was mugged and beaten on a Chicago street corner. He managed to get home, but he died in bed 3 days later after a heart attack from his injuries.
Oh my God.
And they stole $13 from him, I believe.
Oh, for God's sake, dude.
What did it have did it have anything to do with him selling?
No,
it just
it was
happened.
just a bad coincidence. Veeck then was back in the Mayo Clinic, and he couldn't attend the funeral, but Goodell's pitcher from that game, Bob Kane, did attend. He said he felt like he was obligated to go. And he said Goodell's wife, who was not a little person, ran up and hugged him and was very thankful. And Kane would honor Goodell until his own death in 1997. Each year, he would mail out hundreds of personalized Christmas cards to friends and family. Each one bore the famous photo that I showed you of Goodell. And imprinted inside was a special message saying, "Hope your target in the future is better than mine was in 1951.
Fuck, man.
Yeah.
What a fucking mensch.
Little guy.
Big heart.
Oh my
Big
God,
heart.
dude.
Big heart.
That's real sweet, man.
Yeah. It's one of those things that Bill Veeck didn't do that, but he kind of did, you know?
Yeah. This whole thing really speaks to something about like the middle of the country too. You know, like,
Let's not talk about it just yet.
no, but like, you know what I'm saying? Like the Midwest is like different in this way where it has like these flock effects of different things, but it's driven by a lot of industry, and you know, it was really humming at this time.
Yeah.
And there was just a lot of sweet stuff
Yeah.
going on, a lot of kindness, you know.
Yeah, but I think with Veeck, it's his kindness seems to induce other people to step up.
Yeah.
Infectious.
Same with Barnum.
Yeah,
Same with Barnum.
exactly,
Yeah.
very much so. Veeck, the Mayo Clinic eventually came to the conclusion that Veeck's health troubles were caused by, quote, slight concussions caused by violent coughing spells resulting from excessive smoking.
Yeah.
Fuck.
Yeah. So Veeck and his family moved to a patch of land in Maryland to relax with orchards and creeks. For some reason, he put jellyfish in the creeks.
I'm sorry. Was that to attract some sort of?
I think he just thought it was fun.
Controversy.
Yeah. And then out of baseball, Veeck, he stayed in baseball even though he's out of baseball. He complained to reporters of the Yankees in '61 were diminishing Roger Maris's home run attempt because they kept bragging about the house that Ruth built and talking about Mickey Mantle. And he felt that Maris deserved more attention for breaking Babe Ruth's record.
Yeah. Well, he got it.
Well, yeah, because they were neck and neck.
At the time, he did not get it.
Right. Yeah.
At the time, baseball writers in America were against Maris breaking the record.
Right.
So for context, because they had added games to the season.
Yes.
For a long time, Roger Maris breaking Babe Ruth's record had an asterisk.
Yes.
Right.
Attached to his 61 home runs.
Yes.
Beating Ruth's, 59?
Yeah, 50,
58, 59?
58, 59, yeah.
And-
or it might have
and-
been 60. I think it might have been 60.
And he did it in a few more games.
a few more
and great movie.
Yeah, with
61.
Barry Pepper.
Barry
Oh,
Pepper as Roger Maris.
Right
and
out of World War
Tom
II.
Jane as Mickey
Tom Jane,
Mantle.
that's
And I
right.
think
What's
Billy,
the movie called?
61.
No
Yeah.
way.
I think Billy Crystal produced it
Yeah, I
or
think so,
something
yeah.
like that.
Heard of it?
Yeah, I think it was made for like ESPN.
Yeah, it was like ESPN or like maybe even HBO or ended up there.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
It might have been an ESPN movie, but
Yeah.
like it shows like all like Roger Maris started losing his fucking hair over the
Yeah,
stress
yeah.
from all this because he was attacking a sacrosanct stat.
Yeah,
Right.
Great movie.
Meanwhile, it should have been celebrated for
Yeah.
far and wide.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, it's like you're like all the other extenuating factors too. You go like, well, everybody wasn't housed on Captain Morgan.
Yeah.
You know, like they had a better chance to field these things.
Yeah. He was facing tougher pitching. He was facing black players.
Right. Yeah. There was an integrated league.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Fuck, dude.
Mary Frances, his wife, encouraged him to reunite with his first family, which went very well, and his daughter Ellen from the first marriage would become very close and with the new family.
Oh.
And with Mary Frances, Veeck started a tradition that every New Year's Day they would forgive any debts owed to them.
Oh boy, a lot of phone calls on New Year's Eve, huh?
Yeah. Veeck joined the local pool, and every morning he would, before it closed, at the end of the day, he would take off his prosthesis, swim the length of the pool 3 times underwater, and then hop out and light a cigarette.
Did he swim in a circle because he had one leg that was like a little Finding Nemo leg?
While he was out, he wrote the first of his 3 autobiographies, Veeck as in Wreck. And while in Maryland, he kept busy. When he found the local movie theater was segregated, he started sitting in the balcony with the black patrons. Then he decided to start showing movies in his backyard, having the movies flown in by friends from the movie industry and playing them in his backyard for anybody who showed up.
Damn.
What
What
a
a
Howard Hughes connect.
Yeah.
major mensch.
Larry Doby's son said he had many great memories of those times showing up annually in the summer. And Veeck also started hosting civil rights members for dinner. Jesse Jackson and Dick Gregory ate at his table.
Nice.
And he put out another book, this one called The Hustler's Handbook. In it, he had 50 pages about the 1919 Black Sox and revealed that during renovations of Comiskey Park, a worker for the White Sox found a notebook detailing the Black Sox gambling with notes from a private detective.
Fuck.
It also contained the name Eugene Milo Packard, listed next to 1918 series fixer.
Really? Fuck.
Yeah. He also had a radio show that I'll say for the Patreon.
In his later years.
During this time. He had a Bill Veeck show, a 5-minute radio show that aired daily on 80 commercial radio stations worldwide.
In what time frame?
1966.
Okay.
5 minutes.
Yeah. And he
David Lynch.
Yeah.
It's 45 degrees, Chicago.
But he would,
Good night.
in those stories, he would in those 5 minutes, he would tell stories and talk about baseball and just have fun. In 1968, he marched in Martin Luther King Jr.'s funeral procession.
Wow.
He was one of only 3 men to not be wearing a tie in the procession.
Well, he doesn't wear ties.
Right.
man.
It was him. It was him. Stokely Carmichael and what's his name? The one eye from
Sammy Davis Jr.
Sammy Davis Jr.
Wow.
I
don't do ties, guys.
Unless it's a Mai Tai. In which case, give me a double. Shimmy.
In '68, he also heard the Washington Senators were going to be up for sale, so he tried to buy them. When he thought he might have had a chance to, he called up retired Yankees star black catcher Elston Howard, offered to make him baseball's first black manager if he could get the team. But out of nowhere, twice his offer was beaten, and Elston Howard would never manage a baseball team, even though he really wanted to. Veeck was more successful with Satchel Paige. When he heard Paige was just shy of getting his major league pension, he convinced the owner of the Atlanta Braves to hire Paige as a coach for a couple months so he could get his pension.
Damn, what a fucking good guy, man.
Yeah. The next thing he did was he became the president and COO of Suffolk Downs, a racetrack in East Boston. First thing he did was lower the entrance price. And the first day there, when the track wouldn't open because the truck full of money hadn't shown up, he let everybody in for free.
And he raced jellyfish.
Look at him go.
He renovated the whole place, removing the barbed wire around the track, saying, is this supposed to keep people in or out? He removed the pay toilets for free toilets, saying, why should they have to pay to get in here? They have to pay to drink. Why should they pay to go to the bathroom?
Yeah.
They'll do it in their seats anyway.
John's pay toilet sometimes on the weekends.
That's right. That's right. I'm glad you brought that up.
Me too.
Thank you. Yeah.
He replaced the plastic flowers with real ones. By the end of the season, he had taken in a record $8.2 million, about $70 million today.
So, like, hey, don't make people pay to piss and shit.
Yeah, and he removed, there were 2 admissions, one for the grandstand, one for the bleachers. So it'd be like rich and poor. He removed the price difference, so everybody could sit wherever they wanted. And of course, he did things like Ladies' Night and
Ladies' night.
And if I remember correctly, there was like an anecdote where like in between races one time he had the grounds crew run out there and plant new trees in the infield to say, like, look, we're doing great things here. And I think something to the effect of, like, he had the signs up that says, your money goes up at Suffolk Downs. Just trying to...
Smart, because you want to win money.
Yeah.
Gambling.
At that time in 68-69, the Boston Red Sox and Boston Patriots football team were both playing at Fenway Park. The Red Sox Stadium and the state of Massachusetts was thinking of building a mixed-use stadium outside of Boston for both teams. Veeck went on a public relations tour demanding that the Red Sox be kept in Fenway Park. That is one of the best stadiums in baseball. And when the Patriots were then they talked about moving to another state because they didn't have their own stadium, Veeck proposed a solution. 12 extra racing days at Suffolk Downs, they would get Massachusetts an extra $1.2 million a year, and over time it would pay off the $16 million stadium for the Patriots. The extra racing plan was not accepted by the NFL, but it gave the Patriots enough time to build a stadium for themselves, still in Massachusetts.
Huh.
And it also kept the Boston Red Sox in Fenway Park.
Yeah, where they still play
Wild.
to this day, John.
12 years later, Boston Sports Writers gave Veeck an award for meritorious service for keeping both those teams in Massachusetts.
Yeah, like, I mean, why was he so invested in that?
He just felt like Boston was a good place for a baseball team.
And I'm going to go out on a limb and say it is.
But, like, I mean...
That it is.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
It's a good sports town in general.
But he really liked Fenway Park. And I think some of that definitely comes from him basically growing up in Wrigley Field.
Right, yeah, but, like, it's like... He's just so kind to everybody else.
Yeah. I don't know.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, what's his fucking problem?
No, I'm just saying, like, it's not a thing you see, really, like, other than the Cardinals thing where he's trying to fuck that guy over, who also turns out to be a scumbag.
Yeah.
Well, maybe that's why he did it.
Right, exactly. That's what I'm saying. Is like other endeavors he like, you know, takes on are just like, oh, I just think that's nice and good for the people.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You know? But he's, I mean, what a major unsung hero.
It is crazy, and we could talk about it more at the end of the episode. But there's just so many things from reading this book that I had no idea that he had a hand in that are still important to sports today.
The Forrest Gump of baseball, but also like had his hand in football, race,
Yeah,
both horse and human.
In 1970, Curt Flood, the baseball player, went on trial to fight baseball's reserve clause because he had been traded, and he said, I don't want to be traded to this team, and so he took it to court. Eventually, it reached the Supreme Court. But before that, Veeck was the final person to testify for Flood, and the opposing the opposing lawyer tried to call him out for that fence thing he did in Cleveland, where he built the fence, a movable fence. And again, he said, "Look, I never broke any rule that had been written.
right. Yeah,
I only broke." And they tried to call him out on a bunch of things, and he said he was asked how a change would benefit the players of the game of baseball, and he responded, "Well, I think it would certainly help the players in the game to no longer be one of the few places where there is human bondage. I think it'd be the benefit of the reputation of the game of baseball, and I'd like to mention, just for the record, I happen to think of baseball as the greatest team game there is. I don't happen to agree with all they do, and often I'm very unkind about my statements. But I still think it's a game that deserves to be perpetuated and be restored to the position of honor it once held. I think this would be a step in the right direction. At least it would be fair."
Wow.
I think it's just he had some good convictions, I feel like. And eventually the Supreme Court would rule against Flood, but it was still a big hack out of the reserve clause in 1976. The new collective bargaining agreement between the owners and players would usher in free agency. Now, I'll talk more about his time at Suffolk Downs on the Patreon. But eventually, the company that owned the Suffolk Downs siphoned off all of the earnings he had made to other projects until the track was $14.5 million in debt.
Jesus.
And so Veeck said, "Fuck this," and he left. After leaving, he found that the owner of the White Sox was in financial trouble, so he put together a group of buyers, including John Harold Johnson, the owner of Ebony and Jet, who would have been the first black owner of a baseball team, even as a part owner. He was voted. It was voted 8-3 to let Veeck in, but he needed 9 votes for approval. And the owners came back with various financial requirements, which over the next few months Veeck did reach. They thought he wouldn't be able to do it. He did reach them, and they again voted 8-3 against him. I mean, for him, but they didn't reach the
9 that they needed. He needed.
Yes. And so then the president of the American League reminded the other owners that Veeck had met all their conditions. This time they voted again and let him back in the game in 1975. One of the guys who was very against Veeck was the owner of the Angels. Was a cowboy man named?
Gene Autry.
Gene Autry hated Bill Veeck.
No shit.
Yes. And Bill Veeck would later say, he would say something to the effect of, about Gene Autry. He said, like, look, I'm against, he's like, I feel very badly about houses for disowned women and Gene Autry. It's like, I say mean things, don't I, sometimes? Well, I mean it.
Fuck.
And Gene Autry was always a vote against Veeck.
Any particular reason? Was it his friendliness to the blacks?
None is really given. Gene Autry would say something to the effect that he thought he was bringing something to the effect like a sham. He was
too much of a showman, circus type atmosphere.
Yeah, the guy's a fucking actor.
He's a fucking movie star pretending to be a cowboy.
Yeah, exactly.
Twisting a fucking lasso around his head. Yippee-ki-yay-oh. Get out of here, dude.
Fuck out of here.
By the way, check out the Gene Autry Museum of
Oh, it's a great
Heritage.
museum. Yeah, it's way better than the man.
And they have also outdoor movie screenings. It's right there in Griffith Park.
Really?
Yo.
Yeah, the Gene Autry. Yeah.
Oh, the Autry's a great. You gotta check out the Autry.
shit.
I think they changed the name from Museum of Western Heritage to something else, but it's the Autry. It's great.
Wow.
Check it out, man.
And so Veeck was back in baseball, and the first thing he did after he got voted in is during the winter meeting is he went down to the lobby where the meeting was held, and he pulled a bunch of telephones around him and started making deals. And he paid one of his employees to go to the payphones nearby. And he said, if any of these phones aren't ringing, you call them. And so all of a sudden, all of the phones were ringing, and all of these other baseball owners started calling him up thinking that he was making tons of deals. And so eventually he did make a bunch of deals.
Oh, my God.
Fake it till you make it, man.
Yeah.
Barnum again.
Buy, sell, sell.
Call all these phones. Act like I'm busy.
Yeah, pretty much.
So funny.
I'll do the rest.
Can you hold, please?
Where is he? Here's Gene Autry. Gene Autry said, he knocked the game, and he now wants to re-enter it. I can't bring myself to vote for a man like that.
Shut up.
Yeah.
Did he knock the game?
Well, these people have old notions of class and decorum that are outdated.
Yeah, all this fucking shit about, like, knocking a ball around a fucking park. Get the fuck out of here.
Seriously.
You got more people into the game.
Yeah. You took the stuffiness out of it, you know?
And gave away stuff.
Yeah.
Veeck, he then re-signed, I think, broadcaster Harry Carey to be his broadcaster.
Hi!
And they had this loud exchange. He invited Carey to a restaurant to sign a contract. And as Carey was approaching the table, Veeck stood up and shouted, "Hey, Harry, I want to make you an offer to work for me." And Carey shouted back, "That sounds great, Bill. That sounds great, Bill." And Veeck countered, "How about $100,000 a year, Harry?" Harry said, "That sounds great, Bill. When do I start?" And never sat down at the table. That was the end of the whole discussion.
Hi!
I got places to be.
Yeah. Then
Axe me!
Then Veeck ordered the artificial turf at Comiskey Park to be ripped up and invited the fans to show up and rip up pieces for themselves,
Yeah, man.
which they did. He felt baseball was always better with real grass.
You said it, neighbor.
Yeah, man. And then you can hire tiny little people to be the groundskeepers.
That's
Yes,
right.
blade by blade.
He brought in new players and he told them, he said, "I want you to go out, play hard, have fun, and always remember, I only fear one thing, termites."
Because his leg?
He's on a peg leg at this point, right?
It's a fair fear.
Yeah, on the subterraneans especially.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, these things are fucking...
These
A
things
scourge.
They go off.
That year, 1976, was also the bicentennial. And so he came out before the first game in Revolutionary Guard. Or Garb.
Yeah, Revolutionary Guard. You'd have to be in Iraq or something.
But in based on the painting, The Spirit of 76, where there's a man playing drums or boy playing drums and another someone else playing carrying a flag and
A flautist. Yeah.
a bugle boy.
Nobody had a gun.
and so that's him again. All these pictures. On
It's
Patreon.
amazing we won.
Yeah,
Yeah, we won with the power of music.
yeah. And so before the game, he came out part of the 3-man band playing there and playing their harmonica. The opening day game had 40,000 fans, double from the year before. And he actually managed to sell 500,000 tickets for the season. The team had only drawn 750,000 the year before, but he had set up a phone system where people would call in and buy their tickets. And
And he was manning all of them in the lobby of the Autry.
Can you hold, please?
Yeah. Which seat? Okay, hold. Please, next.
Yeah.
during one of the White Sox games, he noticed that the fans would cluster around Harry Carey's booth because during the 7th inning stretch, Harry Carey would sing in the booth, "Take Me Out to the Ball Game." And Vex noticed people clustering around the booth, so the next game he snuck in a microphone. So when Carey sang, it would be broadcast throughout the whole stadium.
Damn.
And now they sing "Take Me Out to the Ball Game" during the 7th inning stretch.
Yes,
everywhere.
and later when Carey was working for the Cubs,
That
he would-
started there?
Yep.
You're shitting me.
No.
Incredible.
Yeah.
Incredible.
Yeah.
I had no fucking idea.
Just
That's
because
wild.
Veck put a microphone into the booth to broadcast it through the whole stadium.
Dude,
That
that is blowing my mind.
I mean, listen. Say what you want about integrating the league. Granted,
A big deal.
the 7th inning stretch, an institution.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And by a guy that could barely talk.
Hi,
Well.
boy, I could use a stretch right now.
Yeah. That's wild, man.
Yeah, I mean, it's really it's impressive stuff, and also the fact that, like, again, still the other owners were not fans of what he was doing. Bud Selig, who at this point now owned the Milwaukee Brewers, the team that Veck had made super popular decades before, that Selig had grown up watching and going to, was complaining that Veck was being too much of a showman.
He got you into the game.
Yeah. Like, these guys just, they own a team and they just do not understand the point. They think the point of it is to make themselves money and be the guy who gets the first chat with TV after they win the World Series, which should not happen. I don't need to hear the fucking owner talk about the team.
Yeah, I don't give a shit about them.
It's just, Bud Selig, I mean, what a fucking loser.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. In August of that first season, Veck also had the idea of, for a couple games, he dressed the White Sox in shorts.
All right. Well, not everything's a winner.
No, it's largely regarded as one of the worst uniforms.
Yeah, it's
in the history
terrible.
of baseball.
Not a lot of not a lot of stolen bases.
Yeah, that's the problem. Sliding is hard. You rip skin off.
But you know what? You hire a bunch of fucking rugby players, they don't give a fuck.
That's true.
Oh, they were in Lululemon short shorts and a fucking halter top, and they're diving into each other.
Yeah.
I kind of get it.
Tough
You know,
guys.
it's-
Yeah,
Tough
I mean-
guys. We don't have
yeah.
tough guys here.
It's fun.
It's a sweaty sport. I don't know.
Also, I think he's still kind of thinking of, like, the ladies will like it.
No, totally.
I mean,
That's the thing,
there's
too.
some, like, listen, there is, we talked about it in the previous episode, part 1 of Bill Veeck, that, you know, it's kind of ridiculous that in baseball they are wearing a suit.
Yeah.
Yes.
They're wearing a button-up they're wearing a suit playing a sport, which is crazy.
Yeah.
You know, if we were being practical, they'd wear something more like football pants and that kind of like a tight-fitting, snug thing that's not getting in the way, but also protects your body from the abrasions of the soil and the turf and the whatnot. So there is something to be said for, like, oh, let's have something a little more athletic looking to wear, but man, this is fucking baseball, dude. It's nothing else.
Yeah, and, you know, with modern fabrics, unless what is the gambling company that made the uniforms this year. That
What, DraftKings?
yeah, everybody fucking hated.
Really?
Well, the thing I gotta say,
DraftKings made the uniforms.
Well, no, they like
We bet you'll like them.
they made a deal with Major League Baseball to save them money from using Nike, and the players hated the uniforms were like shrink. They would really show their balls off. They were too thin.
but in the case of this, we have to say that sliding alone is the thing where you go like, put them in pants,
Yeah.
right?
I
like,
agree.
I don't care.
As a ball player, absolutely.
I don't care
Yes.
if they're in tank tops up top, but for sliding, like, put them in fucking pants.
I
dude.
understand. I also see total like devil's advocate. The rugby players don't give a fuck.
Right? Yeah.
But that's they're still sliding on grass too. Once you start
when
sliding
you're sliding on dirt
when you slide on dirt
into a base that's mounted into the dirt, it's different. You're right. You're right.
He also that year he reactivated 50-year-old Minnie Minoso, so Minnie could say that he played in 4 decades. He went 1 for 8. A campaign manager for Eugene McCarthy called Veeck and asked if he could get McCarthy an at-bat. Veeck toyed with the idea for a second, and then he had a long pause. He said, "Nah, Mayor Daley would kill me." There's no running that machine. He would do some more of his wild giveaways. Gave away helmets, decals, a piano, a donkey,
Pet rocks,
yep,
thalidomide, lead paint, asbestos, chia pets,
Kratom.
vaccines. Huh?
The team that year finished second to last, and Veeck apologized to the city, and then he put an ad in the Sporting News for new players. He said he got a lot of calls. He said, "I think a guy who might have been Raleigh Fingers called me, and he would only call me after 2 a.m.
It was definitely Raleigh Fingers.
Yeah.
In 1977, they set a team record with 1.6 million fans. And they won 22 more games, but they didn't make the playoffs. In 1977, Chicago White Sox organist Nancy Faust began playing a song. It had been sung spontaneously by fans in the stands, possibly beginning with the Minnesota Twins in 1977. During a 4-game sweep by the Chicago White Sox, the fan version went, "Minnesota, Minnesota, hey, hey, goodbye." Faust recognized that this was part of a popular song, started playing it on the organ later, and it would go that year, na 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 goodbye,
Hey,
which would
hey.
later become na 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 hey hey goodbye.
Wild.
Eventually, though, and slightly ironically, Veeck started getting priced out of the game with free agency. He couldn't afford to pay for the free agents as much as teams like the Yankees could.
End of list.
Yeah. But his son his son Mike had an idea for promotion. Before it went off, Bill Veeck himself said this could be a really catastrophic idea. But he was in the hospital at the time, and Mike was in charge of promotions. The promotion was called Disco Demolition Night.
Oh, no. Oh, no. That was Bill or his son?
That was Mike, but with Bill's blessing.
50,000 people, the largest crowd of the season, showed up at Chicago's Comiskey Park for the twilight doubleheader between the White Sox and the Detroit Tigers.
Was it to celebrate the death of
15,000
disco?
others had to be turned away.
They just
Many
hated
had come
disco.
for Disco
Yeah.
Demolition Night, a promotional gimmick. Between games, as planned, a huge box containing thousands of disco records was blown up.
Yeah.
The rest was unplanned. Fans stormed out onto the field in the thousands. Disco records were hurled like frisbees. Bonfires were
Like
set. Bottles were thrown.
discuses.
The batting cage was torn down and destroyed. Fistfights broke out. White Sox players had to be locked in their clubhouse for their own protection.
It's January
The melee
6th,
lasted
man, of
an
the
hour and a
disco.
half and
Yeah.
resulted in 39 arrests and a few minor injuries. The baseball fans missed the second game. It was canceled. The White Sox lost it. It was forfeited to Detroit.
Oh my God. I historically I remember.
Yeah, it was a promotion that Mike was
we
a
talked about it on the show before.
yeah,
even.
I believe so.
Maybe not
Mike was a younger guy, and Steve Dahl was a 24-year-old hothead disc jockey, a famous disc jockey in Chicago, and I have friends of mine who are huge fans of him. He hated disco, and it's hard to not see it as kind of a racial thing.
Yeah.
I also think it was a bit of a cultural thing too, because it was like, punk hit really hard back on the disco thing, where it was like,
Sure, yeah.
oh, cool people go to discos. It's kind of like the clubby thing for the cool people at school.
Yeah.
And,
But it is also racial.
yeah, but it was also like kind of like people that don't feel like they fit into nightclubs stayed more in like that kind of like, bracket, but also like disco rules.
It still does.
Yeah, it still does.
Disco never died in Europe.
No. Yeah, no, I completely agree. But it's just I think like baseball, rock and roll is like the traditionalist thing.
Yeah. Disco and baseball don't go together.
Yes, exactly.
Unless.
I mean,
Hold
they
on a second.
could.
Somebody called Bill Veeck's ghost. Hold on, I think I got an idea.
Yeah.
So that promotion was a real
Disaster?
Catastrophe.
yeah.
It was definitely a cultural thing too, and definitely race was involved.
Yes, without
There's
question.
an overlapping Venn diagram.
And, and a lot of maybe the majority of the people there were not baseball fans. They were
Disco haters.
disco haters.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. In 1980, Veeck was unable to sign one of his draft picks because he couldn't afford the amount of money the guy wanted, and he saw that as a sign. He went back to the board, and he told them it was over. And he told them they should sell the team, and then he went to the hospital to rest. In September of that year, he had 102-degree fever, but he strode out into the field in Comiskey for Bill Veeck Appreciation Night. He received a 2-minute ovation. Even the press applauded. He later thanked the hospital for their care and invited all 2,000 employees and their families out to the park for a couple of games.
Oh my God, 2,000?
Yeah.
It's a whole hospital, John. Janitors, too.
He
Don't act like you know and I don't.
Dude, you don't know, you don't care about the underworkings,
I don't know what the fuck you're saying. But yes.
substructure.
The team was sold, and he was out of baseball. Baseball Magazine gave him a Lifetime Achievement Award. During his speech for that, he spelled out a list for improving the game. He said the designated hitter should exist in both leagues or in neither. There should be one set of umpires for both leagues, not two sets with different codes. All parks should have either artificial turf or natural grass. And he said, I feel firmly a baseball park should smell like grass, not an extension of the city's streets and cigarette smoke and other odors. He thought the league should be realigned with 3 divisions and a wild card, and the emphasis should be placed on natural rivalries such as Cubs, White Sox, Yankees, Mets, and Dodgers, Angels. Teams should play more in the same time zone, save fuel and reduce costs, and in turn keep ticket prices low so family groups wouldn't be priced out.
Well, that part never happened.
His friend Hank Greenberg made a plea for Veeck's election to the National Baseball Hall of Fame, and Veeck said, I would have to refuse it. There's no room for Louis Aparicio, Pee Wee Reese, or Phil Rizzuto, then there's surely no room for a scuffler who couldn't hit 0-1-1-0-0-1.
What year is this?
This is 1980 or so.
Okay, so this is before Pete Rose.
Yeah.
Okay.
And Veeck, a man named Roland Hemmond said, I'm sad Bill's leaving. Let me tell you what kind of man he is. Last September, he planned a picnic on the playing field at Comiskey Park to thank all the employees. A few days before, he was rushed to the hospital and placed in intensive care. The day of the party, we're all concerned about him, and all of a sudden he shows up. He talked to a doctor into letting him out for the party. He stayed for a while, hopped in the cab, and asked the driver to speed up so he could roll down the window and stick his head out for air so he could breathe.
Decapitated by a lamppost. Could you imagine?
His phone number was still listed. He'd still get calls from fans. He said he really enjoyed when he could tell that they were at a bar and they wanted trivia advice. And he said
That's awesome.
about 3 a.m, some fellows at a bar are bombed and having an argument. One fellow asked me if Earl Torgerson played for the Sox at 59. I'll answer, yes, he did. And the caller will say,
I got you, you fucker.
The caller will say, will you tell this to this guy I got a bet with? The second guy will ask, did Earl Torgerson play for the Sox 59? And I'll say, no. He came in 3 years later.
You piece of shit.
He said, it's my only defense, my only way of getting even. I go back to bed with a mental picture of a fight in a bar.
I sleep like an angel.
Yeah. Because these guys are whipping each other's asses. He did not say that. He just told me something different.
You fucking fuck.
He became an anti-war and anti-gun advocate. Anytime there was a parade, march for anti-war or anti-gun, he was there. He signed every petition for both of those he could find. And he kept going to White Sox games. He'd sit in the bleachers and try to tan. And he loved if any fans were like, "Can you rub suntan lotion on me?" And he loved.
Yeah, turn around. Let me get those lats. Ooh, boy, he's built like an Adonis over here. What do you do?
Let me get all that fucking
What,
Polish
you
sausage.
Eating them
flesh.
those fucking Polish hot links. Oh God, I'd like to rub some fucking a sweet relish on these trapezius muscles. Oh God.
He had one of his lungs removed. And he said to Mike Lupica of the Daily News, he said, now you must understand something whole for me is a little different than whole for everybody else. I now have a lung and an eighth, a lung and an eighth, a leg and a quarter, 40% of my hearing, and one legal eye. I figure I've given the rest of the world as much of an edge as I'm going to give.
Nice.
It's a safe bet to bet against me.
In one of his last public outbursts, he railed against the players who were caught for using cocaine because they had gone to court and snitched on the clubhouse guy who sold them the drugs. And he said something to the effect of, when was the last time you saw the big guys go to court and get off for fingering the little guy? So do these guys show up in court with their $1,000 suits? And this lowly clubhouse guy, he's the one that goes to jail and they don't.
The honest small businessman is getting screwed by these millionaires.
Yeah.
Who I helped create.
Yeah. He goes, these guys got big fucking,
fucking fur mink coats running around in
they got
limousines.
physical athlete careers. This guy's just a fucking drug mule. He never did no harm to nobody.
He's got 13 balloons he hasn't found yet up his asshole of his keister.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Put in his old prison wallet across the border from fucking Panama all the way up through the fucking Panama Canal.
Going head to head with Doc Gooden.
I mean, what do you want him to do?
And of course, one of those guys was
Cocaine baseball?
Dale Barra.
Oh my God.
Bill Veeck, he died on
What is it?
January 1st
Good callback.
in 1986, 71 years old, from cancer. 5 years later, he was elected to the Baseball Hall of Fame.
Fuck.
William Brashler in Chicago Magazine wrote, somehow we'll have to model through opening day without him. We'll have to adjust to a few sad facts. The gross national consumption of beer has diminished. Some say measurably. Every day now, one good book goes unread. Marches against handguns and for peace and civil rights have one fewer peg leg pounding the pavement. But the arc lights must still be turned on, boys. Let us wander over to the ballpark, lift a sign heavenward, and laugh some more. And I would like to end with Bill Veeck from his first autobiography, Veeck as in Wreck. He wrote this. Let's see here. He wrote,
Do the voice.
my answer has, I think, been bound from these covers beginning to end. Sometime, somewhere, there will be a club no one really wants. And then old will come wandering along to laugh some more. Look for me under the arc lights, boys. I'll be back.
Love it.
Damn, man.
I love this guy.
Yeah.
Bill Veeck, man.
Yeah, I mean,
Man of the people.
yeah, so, let me ask something, man.
Sure.
In terms of, the pomp
Mhm.
and stuff like that, was there something that drew you to this guy after doing the ABA stuff? Because there's a lot of parallels there.
I forget what it was. I forget what made me think of him again.
Yeah.
But do you see that too? Kind of?
Oh, yeah,
Certainly.
there's certainly
It
parallels.
might have
I mean,
been.
it's the
unconventional to say the least.
Yeah,
sort of thing.
there's like, hey, let's take this thing that nobody's watching, and let's turn it into a spectacle, and tap into an untapped resource.
Yeah.
Of these, part black guys, and let's make it accessible. There's certainly a lot of crossover.
I forget what it was, but there's something that made me think of him again, and it might have been the ABA and silly promotions and everything. But then I started reading the book, and
right away you're like, here we go.
There's so many things. I mean, first his dad I didn't know anything about his dad. Very interesting character. But then there's just like, as I'm reading, there's just so many things. He's the guy that planted the ivy in Wrigley Field.
Yeah.
Right? He's the guy that signed Larry Doby, first black guy in the American League.
Yeah.
And then it's just like, as I'm going along, there's just like...
7-inning stretch thing.
Fireworks for the home run.
Everything.
No.
And
all
then
that stuff.
The fact that the Red Sox are still playing at Fenway.
Yeah.
Right? There's just so many fucking things.
And everything that we think of that is like baseball canon.
Yeah.
Is started by a guy that everybody thought was trying to ruin baseball.
Yeah.
Right. And
You know
it's
what I mean?
now the most evergreen part of the game.
Yeah.
So it's like a thing where you go like, the guy clearly loved the game in a very intrinsic way.
Yeah.
And you're like, all these other stuffy people were really ruining the game.
Yeah.
This guy was actually making it evergreen.
Yeah, and he wasn't changing the game. He wasn't changing the rules. He wasn't changing the ball.
The engagement with the fans is what made it more evergreen.
Right, and what I'm saying is, for all the things that they hated him for, none of it was affecting the game.
No, exactly, like the thing with what's his name? What he's most famous for? The
Eddie Goodell.
Goodell.
Yeah.
Like that meant nothing.
It didn't change any rule. It wasn't like
there wasn't any cheating or anything like that. It was just like, hey, we're fucking around here. It's a spectacle.
Yeah.
But all the giveaways, all of that shit, all the things to make the game more comfortable for the fans, to invite them, to make it America's pastime, to increasingly make it America's pastime, more so,
maybe more than anybody,
maybe more than anybody we know.
Getting it on radio, dude. I mean that might be the legacy there.
Right. I mean, everything
we take it for granted. But, I mean, go back and watch movies going back into the 40s. Yeah. And what are they turning on the radio? Let's listen to the game. How many movies have the baseball game in the background, or people remembering? Dude, I mean, fucking, like Back to the Future. He turns on the radio. And it was a football game, but listening to baseball on the radio is how most people got it until the 60s.
No, even me, because you could do
something else while you're listening to it.
Yeah.
In my opinion, from the first part where he's talking to people in the stands, and from this part where he's talking to people on the radio, I think it's the engagement with the fans. That is a thing that's like, you don't do that unless you really give a fuck.
Yeah. And you know what I'm saying? This game brings you joy, and you want to share that joy with other people.
Everybody else that does this shit acts like they're doing you a favor.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
People that are going to the stands being like, what is good and bad about you watching baseball?
Yeah.
And then doing the same thing on the radio years later. That to me is actually giving a fuck about the game.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the fan experience. Right? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Who the fuck is doing that ever?
Yeah.
That's a big fucking deal. Yeah. I can't believe this guy is not like celebrated as like the fucking patron saint of baseball.
Johnny Appleseed of baseball.
No, seriously. And also,
nuts.
I mean, even just like I was looking through my text messages with my brothers, because while I was reading the book, I would text them something like,
"Do you know this?
He hired Jack Ruby. Like, just like he worked with Ray Kroc. Like, and then just so many wonderful ideas he had, where he was like, I want to make baseball fun for everybody. And
he hired that chick with the big tits to run on the field to kiss the pitcher. That's my headcanon.
He probably loved that.
Yeah, I'm sure he did.
But also, like, the guys who really loved baseball, Connie Mack, who's like regarded as like the first great ever manager. He loved Bill Veeck.
Yeah, and Stengel.
Casey Stengel. Yeah.
Stengel eventually loved him.
Yeah. Well, he eventually loved Stengel, but he just, he joined the Marines.
Yeah.
Joined him.
He chose to
Volunteered.
join the Marines at age 27 while owning a baseball team.
Yeah.
Which is also 27.
So do you feel like
was it
this
Theo
guy-
Epstein? Jesus Christ.
How underrepresented is Bill Veeck in the baseball doc?
I mean,
by Burns, it's kind of a glaring omission. If you think about
I
it.
mean, without question.
Glaring omission.
Without question. I mean, he could have had his own. He should have had his own episode.
Yeah.
his own series.
He did more for the game of baseball than any other single person might have done. Who
wasn't a player.
Who wasn't a player.
Yeah.
More than any reporter.
He moved into a fucking stadium with his wife.
Come on, dude. He had a fucking Mortal Kombat 2. Yeah. And you didn't have to put in tokens.
No, you just press the button and it would go.
Come on, dude.
Yeah. I mean, it just the more like,
Legendary.
as I kept reading the book, I was like, I thought he was a fun guy, but it was like adamantly just a good guy.
Yeah.
He was the last owner of a major league team who was not self-financed.
Yeah. I mean, like I was saying, like during the fucking profile, I was like, did he keep any money for himself? It seems like he gave away so much shit. But also, like, I do believe, as stuffy as these other ball player companies, like owners were, like, I really feel like he felt like if baseball is good, America is good. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
In myriad ways.
Yeah, absolutely.
Lowering ticket prices first thing when you get in.
Yeah.
Like just being like, let everybody come. Let's go.
Or the morning games for the workers that were doing overnight shifts for the war.
Yeah.
Steelworkers nights. I mean, because they went on strike. You guys all get in for free.
Fucking cab drivers and shit. Like
The neighborhood's complaining, so they all get free tickets. I mean, just a thing of saying, I'm listening.
Yeah. I hear you.
Yes.
Yeah.
You hear me,
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Should be the fucking mayor.
Of baseball.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's in the whole history of baseball, like easily one of the greatest, if not the greatest part of what makes baseball baseball.
Yeah.
It really blew my mind doing it.
It blew my fucking mind.
Yeah, I
man.
can't believe I never heard of him. I gotta ask my dad about him because I'm sure my dad probably knows something about him and probably loves him.
Yeah, and also then help bring Major League Baseball to the West Coast.
Yeah.
Like all of these little things where he was so involved. It just blew my mind.
No, it's really about like all about, like the new American experience. In his if you think about like his century, it going that way, joining the NAACP, stuff like that, and being like, well, we all need to be advanced.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it's better for all of us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was a brilliant fucking profile, man.
Thank you.
Really enjoyed it.
I really am very, very shocked and impressed.
And I feel better for having heard it.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
it is.
me too, man.
It's an uplifting one, and
We need it. We need it. Let's wrap this up and then talk about how
Terrible
fucked up everything
things.
else is.
All right, Matt, excellent job. buddy.
Thank you.
I love you, man.
Love you too.
I'm gonna say goodnight. I love you. My name is John Fahey.
Love you. My name is Aaron Pita.
Matt Brousseau.
Good night, everybody. We love you.
Good night.